It'll all go again here from 10 o'clock, so we're down at the Oral Leisure Centre.
For you.
Yeah, it is. Well, listen, Lee, listen. We worked at the weekend, right? We really appreciate all the nice comments. Well, there's a nurse on the way into Letterkenny University Hospital to start a 12-hour shift, to one that's just left the hospital on the way home to get 4 hours sleep before they're back on or something. You know, there's lads and lassies heading to the building site for a 15, 16-hour shift. I've done that, right? This is tough, but it's nothing compared to what some people have done over the weekend or what they'll be doing during the week. It's a pleasure and actually to be able to sit in my bum and work with such a brilliant team and do this job, because I've done the hard stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I appreciate people saying lovely things, but bit of context too, Leo. Bit of context, sunshine.
I hear you, but you're on your feet. There's a lot of pictures you standing up with the microphone.
Well, I don't know how they got them, because I was on my bum for a full weekend, and I'll tell you, my bum knows all about it. And I'm really effectively sitting on the top of my thighs. You have to remember, you know, I need to do some squat scooch.
Listen to me now. Did you get much sleep last night?
3.5 hours sleep.
Oh my God, Almighty! It's hardly worth going home, was it?
Well, I couldn't sleep at the Oral Leisure Centre, so I had no choice really, and I didn't have a change of clothes to sleep in the car, and I didn't hear you offering me to stay at yours, so what am I going to do?
I can offer you a pair of boxer shorts that are fresh on this morning, if that's any good.
You mean the ones that you mean the ones you actually have on yourself at the moment? No, I'm all right. You know what?
Yeah, I'll share, caring.
Suffice to say, I got home and I was able to source my own underpants, so we're not worried about that. We're gonna have a good show. It is the 9 till noon show, as normal-ish, as normal as it can be. But of course, we'll explain why we'll still here at the Oral Leisure Centre. Can you see my folder there? Where is it, Luke? What about if I fire this?
Yeah, I'll do it for you.
Yeah,
I'll do that.
Go on.
How's that? You relax now.
All right. No, it is. You're fine. It is the 9 till noon show for this Monday morning. I'll tell you exactly where we are, what's going on, and all that jazz. But it's time for a news update at 9 o'clock, and it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The 100% Redress Party is set to become Donegal County Council's third biggest party with 4 seats, one more than Fine Gael. Ali Farren has been elected in Carndonagh, Joy Baird in Buncrana and Dennis McGee in Glenties. A recount in Letterkenny means the declaration of the result there is delayed, but Thomas Sean Devine is sure to get a seat there. The party's PRO Ali Farren says this is a result which cannot be ignored, and he says their eyes are now firmly on the next general election.
We will be looking round to see who we can get, who's the best candidate to send to Dublin. Decisions have been made in Dublin. Voices from this county haven't been strong enough. If you want something done, you've got to do it yourself. So we're going to send somebody from, hopefully, with the backing of the public. We will be hopefully running a candidate in the next election. We're going to need a bigger team, a lot bigger team, and we're going to need new shoes, and we'll be ready.
The Letterkenny recount gets underway at 10 o'clock, and assuming the outcome matches the final tallies, the state of the parties will be 10 Fianna Fáil, 10 Sinn Féin, 9 Independents, 4 100% Redress, 3 Fine Gael and 1 Labour. The 4 100 Redress councillors will be joined by newcomers Fionn Bradley in Buncrana, Manus Boyle and Jimmy Brogan in Donegal, Martin Scanlon and Dakota McMenamin in Lifford-Stranorlar and Declan Meehan in Milford. The outgoing councillors who lost their seats are Johnny McGuinness in Carndonagh, Barry Sweeney in Donegal, Jerry Crawford in Lifford-Stranorlar and John O'Donnell in Milford. Again, assuming the final tallies are borne out, Kevin Bradley will lose his seat in Letterkenny. French President Emmanuel Macron has called a snap election. It's after exit polls show Marine Le Pen's National Party rally is set to trounce Macron's party in a historic win for the hard right in the European elections. Mr. Macron says he couldn't pretend that nothing had happened.
This is a serious and weighty decision, but above all of it is an act of trust. Confidence in you, my dear compatriots, in the ability of the French people to make the just choice for themselves and for future generations.
Here, the Taoiseach says he relishes the prospect of pushing back populism in this country. It comes after Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil performed more strongly in the European and local elections nationally than forecast. Donegal did buck that trend. Sinn Féin support held up in Donegal, but they lost ground nationally. The predicted surge in far-right support did not materialise to the extent that some expected. Simon Harris says he won't call an early election, but he says by the same token he won't allow Sinn Féin time to figure out what went wrong for them.
Politicians don't pay any attention to polls, and of course it's always better to be up in a poll than down in a poll, but there's a poll taking place on Friday. And the only thing I want Fine Gael members and supporters to do in relation to the poll this weekend is not pay any attention and keep the eye on the fact that polls will open on Friday and there'll be an opportunity for people to go out and vote in the local elections and in the European elections. Well, I don't intend to give them an inch, but what I do intend to do is work really hard every day to deliver. The timing of the election, though, isn't a matter of just party political consideration. I'm Taoiseach for 61 days. I promise people I'm going to hit the ground running, promise people that I'm going to make politics work for them, that I want to see delivery, and that's what I want to obsess about in the coming period of time. And I look forward to the general election campaign. I relish the opportunity to push back populism in this country.
And the weather forecast, scattered cloud with some isolated showers this morning. Sunny spells developing later, showers dying out. Quite cool in the afternoon with a northerly breeze. Top temperatures today 11 to 13 degrees Celsius. That's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 10 o'clock.
Did you know that low mood, feeling anxious, trouble sleeping, and stress are all part of our mental health? Signs that can be harder to recognise in yourself. For personalised advice that can help, use the My Mental Health Plan tool at yourmentalhealth.ie from the HSE.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, and a very good morning to you. You're very welcome along to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. It's 6 minutes past 9 on this Monday, the 10th of June, and it's the start of another week, and it's following on from what a weekend it was. And we are live, as I mentioned, here for a good reason, because there is a procedure to be gone through here. There's a recount effectively as it relates to the Letterkenny electoral area. We'll tell you all about that a little later on. We do have guests here to keep you abreast of the situation. Just to let you know, here in the Orr Leisure Centre at the moment, we are the only ones here bothered shouting. A few council staff getting the place ready for 10 o'clock when a recount recommences. So that hum is so annoying. I hope it's not coming across too loudly at home or wherever you're listening. All right, let's have a look at the newspapers before you give a rundown of what's happening here. And we'll start with the Derry People Donegal News. Local election 2024 provided the perfect prism for Donegal to tell the owners. Actually, the light in here is absolutely brutal. Just give me 1 second here, because I do want to read the papers to get a sense of what's going on myself. Right, okay, local election 2024 provided the perfect prism for Donegal to tell the powers that be that the disintegration of people's homes and the suffering they continue to endure is not acceptable to the people of County Donegal. The 100% Redress Party had 2 of their 6 candidates romp home, 1 candidate topping the poll in Carndonagh and 2 others with very respectable first preferences in Buncrana and in Letterkenny. We'll run through sort of the state of the land in terms of what we know and who's elected and who's not elected as this morning wears on. The Derry News this morning: Derry City and Strabane District Council has been challenged over its perennial refusal to award funding to the Derry Feis. Speaking to the Derry News, Aisling Boner, the Secretary of Feis Dura Columkill, said repeated attempts to obtain council funding had been rebuffed. She also called on the local authority to explain with complete and utter transparency its marking system for grant awards. On to the Nationals now, and the national picture here from the Irish Times is pressure is mounting for an autumn election after strong coalition showing. Bottom line is okay, the government fared very, very well. Sinn Féin did not, in line with expectations, fare very well. Now, we can say why that was or why that wasn't. We can argue about the 50% of people that didn't bother voting. Which way would have they vote? Why didn't they vote? And all that stuff. But the bottom line is this is the process. This is the democratic process, and this is what we are left with. A better than expected performance for the government parties in the local elections has led to pressure on Taoiseach Simon Harris to call an early general election. Mr Harris insisted plans for the government to serve a full term until next March were unchanged by the election results, but the strong showing by the coalition parties and a dramatic collapse in support for Sinn Féin has led to growing expectations across the political spectrum that an autumn election is now on the cards. As results rolled in from around the country confirming a strong showing for the government parties yesterday, Fine Gael backbencher Michael Ring called for an early election, while outgoing Green MEP Kieran Cuff said an election this year was inevitable. So Sinn Féin, this is the national overview, by the way, and obviously here in Donegal things are different on a number of levels, but the national overview in terms of the local election and first preference share of vote and seats, Sinn Féin 12% with 78%, with 78 seats. That's just 12% of the first preference votes. Fianna Fáil 23%, 180 seats. Fine Gael 23%, that translates for that party to 199 seats. The Green Party 4%, and 18 seats there. Labour 5%, 47 seats nationally. These are local council seats. Social Democrats 3%, 30 seats. PBP 2%, 8 seats. Independents and others 28%, 172 seats. Now, across Europe, as many were predicting, far-right and conservative nationalist parties have made significant gains across Europe in the EU elections, but the political centre is expected to hold on to its majority in the European Parliament. Okay, we'll have more on that a little later. We'll have more on that a little later on. So just more skin on the bone of what the Taoiseach might do in the wake of yesterday's results. The Irish Independent. Taoiseach Simon Harris is insisting he won't be bounced into an autumn general election on the back of a strong performance by Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil in the locals. Mr Harris said the government has lots to do up to next March, a view that was publicly shared by the leaders of Fianna Fáil and the Greens. But there is growing expectation among TDs that an election in October or November is increasingly likely. But I would suggest they might actually just listen to what their party leader has to say, because he came in, there was a bounce as such, and their vote stayed very, very strong, so maybe he's in the best position to make that call. It is quite interesting because he has been on the road pretty much since he was elected. He's been in most constituencies. He was up in Donegal there not so long ago, doing lots of local media press and what have you. And then by contrast, did others rest on their laurels? I don't know. Right, you heard in the news there, I presume, the situation in France. And Emmanuel Macron last night ordered a snap election in France after being humiliated in the European ballot. Exit polls showed far-right parties were set to make big gains at the European Parliament as voting closed on the final day of elections. In France, the national rally of Marine Le Pen and Jordan Bardella took 31.5% of the popular vote, double that of Mr Macron's Renaissance coalition in the race to choose 81 French MEPs, the second highest representation in Strasbourg after Germany. Ms Le Pen said by placing the National Rally list at a historic level, the French people have sent a very clear message to Macronist power, which is disintegrating. In return, Mr Bardella announced an unprecedented rout for the government and called on Mr Macron to dissolve Parliament, where Renaissance does not have a majority. Okay, let's see what's happening elsewhere, and it's still in Europe. I mean, elsewhere in terms of papers. The Irish Daily Star, they predict that Fianna Fáil look set to be the big winners in the European elections by picking up at least one seat in all three constituencies. However, tallies last night showed that independent Claire Daly was in danger of losing her seat in Dublin, where Fianna Fáil's Barry Andrews was expected to top the poll, followed by Fine Gael's Regina Doherty. Independent Ireland's Niall Boylan, a former broadcaster, of course, he's still in contention to take a European election seat in Dublin, as is Labour's Aidan O'Riordan, the Green Party's Kieran Cuff and Lynn Boylan of Sinn Féin. And it looks like here in Midlands North West that Fine Gael might return Fine Gael might return 2 MEPs in the shapes of Nina Carberry and Maria Walsh. So that is a probability. It is also possible that Chris McManus doesn't retain his seat. But as I say, it's early doors. And just given the nature of the way the European vote is pulled together, we gave up effectively yesterday, and it wasn't for the want of trying to get any meaningful idea as to what way things might go in Midlands Northwest. But as voting begins and first counts become available, then it becomes more apparent, you see. Now on to a bit of other news, and we'll go to the Sun this morning, and I can tell you that the Kinahans are on the move. The Kinahans have not been seen in Dubai for months and are believed to have fled the country. Members of the Irish community in the Gulf region, they reckon the gangsters have moved their operations to Iran and are paying millions for private security protection. The crime cartel has been busy offloading the property empires in the United Arab Emirates over the last 18 months. And of course, work is ongoing between the Irish authorities and the authorities in Dubai to come up with an arrangement that would allow a extradition to be put in place. A lot of work by the Gardaí has been going on in that regard. So not surprisingly, they're going to move to a country where the chance of extradition to Ireland is much less likely. And the number of sex offenders jailed in Ireland is to increase substantially over the next 2 years, according to the Irish Daily Mirror. The Irish Prison Service has been told that there are currently a huge amount of cases waiting to be dealt with by the courts and to get ready for a large influx or inflow of prisoners. It is understood many of the cases are historic and involve elderly defendants. There's a big increase in the number of people who were abused as children who are now getting the courage to come forward and report what happened to them. There were 258 people jailed for rape and sexual offences in 2022 compared to 189 the previous year in 2021. The 2023 annual report has yet to be published. According to the latest figures from the Irish Prison Service, as of April, 374 prisoners in custody for sex crimes, one of the highest ever, compared to 524 in 2022. So that was a run through what's making the front of the newspapers. We want your views on the weekend, on the weeks ahead, whatever you want to talk about. 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number, 086 60 25,000. Or you can give us a call on 074 91 25,000, 074 91 25,000. And what a weekend it was. Thank you to all of you, by the way, who listened over the course of the weekend, and thank you also to the thousands of you who watched the stream. It became a bit of a thing, people sitting at home watching the TVs, be it their smart TV or the Fire Stick. It was quite cool. For some reason, I don't know, but maybe we've just streamed too much. We're having difficulties streaming our programme onto Facebook as we normally do. But we are live and kicking on YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, and on the X platform as well. And we'll see if we can resolve the situation as it relates to Facebook. So you can continue to keep up to date with what is happening, not only on air, but also by watching our stream. Okay, let us take a break, and then we're going to give you a state of affairs here from the Ora Leisure Centre.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Donegal County Council, in association with Bryson Recycling, are holding a half-price bulky goods event at Stranorlar, Lahey and Dunloe Recycling Centres from the 10th of June until the 22nd of June, during site opening times. For more information and opening times, visit donegalcoco.ie or call the council on 074 9153 900.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonagher Road, Donegal Town.
With over 1,000 TFI local link door-to-door services nationwide, if you're on our route, we're on our way. To use the service, simply pre-book the day before you want to travel with your TFI local link office. To find out more about door-to-door services in your area, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're transport for you.
Home improvements are well worth making, especially when they build towards a more sustainable future for us all. SSE Airtricity is here to help with the Generation Green Home Upgrade. From insulation, heating, solar panels, windows and doors to full home retrofits, we're your one-stop shop for energy solutions to suit all budgets. It's a simple, hassle-free process with end-to-end project management and a streamlined SEAI grant application process. So make some home improvements that will make a real difference at ssceairtricity.com/home upgrade. Registered with the SEAI for home energy upgrades. Grants offered are provided by the Government of Ireland through the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland.
I've been surfing all morning at FlemingLTD.com to find out about Fleming doors, Fleming steel and Fleming coatings and their full range of products. So come surfing with me at FlemingLTD.com. Fleming 91 48 234.
There's bingo every Monday night at Halfway House Burnfoot. Doors open at 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. The snowball is now €1,800, 145 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. We are broadcasting our show live this morning from the Oral Leisure Centre as... well, it was in the early hours of this morning, probably around about 1:30, where it became clear that, or was it 1 o'clock, where it became clear that we'd have to go again. A full recount was sought, and that was acceded to. So we're going to tell you more about that anon. But there will certainly be a number of fresh faces at County House in Lifford on Friday week as the shape of the incoming membership of Donegal County Council becomes much clearer. With the success of the 100% redress party, it's one of the big stories, if not the big story. A recount, though, as I mentioned, Letterkenny, means that the story is not yet finished. What we know so far, what happened yesterday, Donald Mandy Kelly, he topped the poll. Thomas Sean Devine of the 100% redress party, Jerry McMonigal, Jimmy Kavanagh, Kieran Brogan, Independent Michael McBride and Donald Coyle, all were on track to be confirmed as councillors, and all the celebrations I'm sure that would ensue. Independent Letterkenny Milford MD Cahirlock Kevin Bradley, though unfortunately set to lose his seat. Now, there was an issue here that led to us going to a recount, and we've a number of guests to talk about it. Before we have a wraparound of what's a wraparound, a look at what was happening elsewhere, let's focus on Letterkenny for now, because that's why we are sitting here. Trudy O'Donnell joined our analysis team this morning, and is back with us again. Trudy, thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, okay. So, yesterday, what happened late last night that means we're back here today and things are not yet settled in the Lifford local electoral area?
Well, I think once the candidates started to be eliminated and their votes then were distributed, we saw at the bottom end of the table Kevin Bradley and Mary T. Sweeney. Their votes were really tight. And with the last candidate being eliminated, trying to remember now, we're early in the morning, we had Sandra Haughey, who transferred over 500 votes to Jerry McMonigal, and they were deemed elected. And after that, the two candidates that were next to be eliminated, Kevin Bradley and Mary T. Sweeney, ended up at the votes. Kevin Bradley 1,015 and Mary T. Sweeney 1,010. So there was a 5-vote difference there at that stage, and that was when Mary T. Sweeney did call her leader of her Aon2 party, Peter Tobin, and got him on the phone, and he did speak to the residing officer here.
Which was really interested to see unfold, isn't it? Because my understanding is that Mary T. Sweeney was going to accept the situation as it was. Members of her team, or all of her team, I'm not quite sure, said, right, no, listen, there's not something going on here, but something we can certainly look at. Then Peter Tobin got on the phone and he wanted to speak to Seamus Canning. They back and forth for a bit, and next thing you know, the request was exceeded.
Was granted,
Now,
yes.
5 votes doesn't seem like a lot, but speaking to people, the sense is that, right, okay, maybe it might go down to 4 or 3, but then it could go up to 6 or 7. So what you lose on the swings, you could gain on the roundabouts, and vice versa. So I can understand why we're going through this process,
Absolutely,
Trudy.
yes.
But the odds are, aren't they, that we really just end up picking up where we left off?
I mean, the chances of, I suppose, what we're looking at next is either Kevin Bradley or Mary T. Sweeney are going to be eliminated. And I mean, what Mary T. is obviously really hoping is that she's not that candidate to be eliminated. So the fact then that if Kevin Bradley is eliminated, Mary T. Sweeney is still in the running for that final seat against Donald Coyle. Now, that obviously as well. Donald Coyle finished last night with 1,116 votes. So as that stands then, there is only 106 votes separating, going from the last count, Mary T. Sweeney and Donald Coyle. Now, in saying that, the chances then of Kevin Bradley's 1,015 votes being distributed and Mary T. Sweeney picking up 106 of them, you know, that is in her best case scenario.
But also, too, is it not the case, Trudy, that gap, it's as likely to widen as it is to narrow?
Exactly.
As it is to stay the same.
The same.
But
yeah.
that being said, unless you go through this process right now.
Yeah.
Now, yesterday was a very slow process, and I don't mean that with any slight on the staff. It was very, very clear that there was an intention to dot every single I 2 or 3 times and multiple crosses on the T's. Does that help with the sort of recount process, I wonder?
Well, I think so. I mean, considering the length of time that we waited yesterday to get an official first count, and we know they were counted again, there was a discrepancy over 2 votes as well. Once the spoiled votes yesterday were looked at by the candidates or their agents, and those 2 votes were found, I think, but with that going through the first counts again, they have been checked and checked and checked again. So I would imagine that will speed up the process today. I mean, even every time you're checking, you're looking at other spoiled votes, transferable votes, non-transferable votes. So fingers crossed, it will speed up the process for us today. And I mean, the staff yesterday were amazing here. And I can imagine they're feeling it today as well. But
all that being said, I've been told that it could well be 8 o'clock this evening before all this is done and dusted. What happens then, with those that have been elected? I mean, they're not going to come back in and get hoisted up into the air again, are they?
I wouldn't. The ones that I'm only
the ones that were already declared.
Exactly.
Yeah?
The ones that have been declared, I can't imagine they will do that again. But I mean, we were sitting here last night very, very close to the other councillors being elected. We did have Jimmy Kavanagh there that was very close to being elected. And again, that last seat as well. Michael McBride, very close to being elected as well. And I would not imagine anything will change with that. The only discrepancy, I suppose, they're looking at today really is that seat number 7, that golden seat for the candidates. So.
Okay, stay right where you are because, as I say, you know, the big story of the day yesterday, or one of them, but I think the big story of the day nationally, even as well as locally, was 100% redress. Yes. Ali Farren is with us now. All fingers crossed. Good morning, Ali. You might unmute for me there. We're very keen to hear what you have to say, Ali. I have you now. You're perfect. Ali Farren. Good morning to you. The dust has settled to some extent, or has it? What's the emotions today?
Relief, without a shadow of a doubt. My stomach was in knots all last night. Great feeling, proud feeling, great for the team, great for everybody who voted for us. This was a way of sending a message. And by God, they came out of the traps and they went to the polling boxes and they sent their message. So today we're delighted.
And I suppose it's one of those situations where no one can rest on their laurels, and I'm sure you guys aren't going to rest on your laurels and say, right, we've done. I mean, this is actually only the beginning, presumably.
Of course, it's only the beginning. And remember, it's only the beginning because we are at the moment accidental politicians. None of us wanted to be in this position. I would prefer to be sitting in my house with my feet up, and so would everybody else. But that's not an option. And, at the moment, we need to keep working, keep putting pressure on the government to deliver a proper scheme. So, no, we're not going to sit in our laurels. We're going to Lifford. That's the democratic way this country works. And we're going to take it from there.
Obviously, the likes of yourself, you've got a very high profile, be it in the community and the work you've been doing in terms of 100% redress. Joy Beard also building her reputation and her profile, which is needed really to get your message out there. But then there's other stories too, like Dennis McGee. Out of the blue, really effectively, as normal a person as you would ever meet. I'm not saying you're abnormal, but I know what you get where I'm coming from, right?
Listen, he was putting up plasterboard 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay.
He woke up one morning and says, "Look, we need to help." And to be fair, as a party, we thought, it's far too late for this boy. That's a nobody, for want of a better word. Like he didn't have a profile. And boy, I was delighted.
He came into the Highland radio debates, and it was just like you took him off the road outside, if you know what I mean. And I mean this as a compliment, not in any way as a negative. And he just wanted to speak from the heart. He wanted to tell what his story was. He wanted to tell the reality. He wanted to say why he was running for election, what difference he believes he could make. It was just quite as simple as that. And again, yesterday, it's remarkable.
Is that not the kind of politician that we really, really want? Somebody that's, not edited, not polished, not going to toe a party line. Like, that guy will do his utmost to deliver. He will do his, he will tell the story that we all need told.
There was very emotional scenes in here as well as Thomas Sean Devine was elected. I mean, he's going to be taking a seat on the council. It might take the rest of today just to make that a formal situation. But again, I watched and spoke to him surrounded by, 10 fully grown men with tears in their eyes. You could just see how much it meant.
Look, there's not one of us that didn't shed a tear this weekend. Thomas buried his mother just before he launched to go public as a candidate. It wasn't easy for him. It wasn't easy. And no offense to you, you didn't help either. From a point of view of my mother and father was watching every last minute of that election on their TV in the house. And, they watched you and they were listening away and how Ali was doing and how all the rest of us was doing. And to be fair, you'd announced something, and my sister, who was up for the weekend, phoned me just as I was walking past that chair, that, the room that the chairs is in beside you.
Yep.
And boy, I couldn't help it. And I had to go behind the door. It is emotional. Emotions for this thing is massive. We're starting to believe that we're being listened to, and that we're being given the opportunity to speak up for lots and lots of people.
And another thing too. I'm sorry, I'm just getting some feedback there from the station. I'll mute that 1 second. Ali, sorry, I just had to sort out something a little bit technical there. What I was going to say to you was that Fine Gael had a good day countrywide, but in this county, they're a smaller party than 100% redress that didn't exist in October. Make that make sense.
You're all surprised.
I'm not. Hold on a second. Whoa.
You're all surprised.
Don't make me come up to Malin Head. All right. Listen, I'm not surprised at all. I'm just asking questions, bro. No, but listen, I think all jokes aside, Ali, nothing surprises me about it. The only thing that had to happen was people had to come out and vote, Ali. You know what I mean? And I said all along that those most motivated to vote are the ones that are going to make change. And that's, I think, what happened. Now, we can argue about the 50% that didn't vote and what they think, but that doesn't matter. The 50% that did come out and vote wanted to back 100% redress, and here we are.
listen, there's no doubt about it. The work that you have done for our effective concrete is unbelievable. And I'm not giving you just a pat on the back from that. Like Highland Radio have delivered for us, just like we're going to deliver, hopefully, for the 100% redress people. But outside Donegal, you know, this is front page news for them now. This will make them sit up and you know, and to be the third biggest party in Donegal County Council, just think about that. Like we sat around a table in Green Hotel many's a night thinking, oh, if we could get one over the line. And then we were getting a wee bit, maybe we might get two over the line. And, you know, to be getting four over the line, you know, it's a result. It's an unbelievable result.
Yeah,
and
it is.
We have to thank the people. You have to thank the people who delivered that result. Brilliant.
Indeed. Okay, listen, loads of time to digest it all, but the bottom line is that, I mean, you're a force to be reckoned with, no doubt about that in the local authority. Now, it was just interesting to note, you know, Frank McBurty Jr. obviously very strong on this issue as well, saying, look, he wants to work with you guys. Sinn Féin saying, look, we're going to have to work with 100% Drew. Of course they are, because there's 4 years in there. Right, brilliant stuff. Okay, Ali, thank you very much for that. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate your kind comments, though I'm not 100% comfortable with them, but I do appreciate your kind comments about the show and that as well. So,
well, before you go, you better get used to it. Half the country was watching you yesterday in Donegal. In the count centre was the worst place to be. You couldn't hear nothing. And there was a lady, a member of our party, texting me non-stop. Oh, Thomas is up with us. And, you know, so we were getting the details from you via our WhatsApps. It was a super day. You done well, and thank you.
All right, take care, Ali. God bless you and the rest of the crew. Donald Kavanagh is with us as well, back at base. Donald, good morning to you.
Morning, Greg.
Yeah, okay. It's the day after the night before, so to speak. Just that big story, as we mentioned there, 100% redress, returning 4 councillors, didn't exist last October. It is remarkable. And, you know, obviously they're a bigger party now than Fine Gael. Potentially nationally the story might get lost because Fine Gael are Cock-a-hoop, Fianna Fáil Cock-a-hoop. They've done really well. But anyway, be that as it may, let's focus on locally. That was certainly one of the big stories from yesterday.
Absolutely. I was actually, as it happens, the day Dennis McGee announced his candidacy, I was at a council meeting in Lifford, and I was speaking to some of the Denty's councillors when word got through that some guy was after declaring for 100% redress, and they were actually talking. It was your man Dennis McGee. Yeah, you know him. He lives up around the Maharorty area, and they were actually discussing a few of the actual sitting Denty's councillors discussing this Dennis McGee. And, fair play to him. I know him. Yeah, it's. And they were talking about it because he just, oh, well, he's left it too late. That was the way they were thinking. He's left it too late. Would have been fair play to him for having a pop. And Dennis McGee in the early hours, well, it was just around about give or take, it was midnight when he was elected. So, you know, absolutely bigger than Fine Gael and Donegal, a force to be reckoned with, no doubt about that.
Yeah, no doubt about it as well. Another big story out of the Milford area, of course, Declan Meehan topping the poll there. Liam Blaney's vote holding up well. Pádraig McGarvey seems to have been a very, very popular independent and over the line. And John O'Donnell, independent, losing out to poll topper in 2019, losing his seat. 5 years later, I think we saw the same with we saw the same in the west of the county. It's happened before, but a lot of people shocked, a lot of people not shocked.
Yeah, the thing with, I think John O'Donnell speaking to you did mention during the interview you did with yourself that he had concentrated a little more on his businesses over the course of the past 5 years. And I think it's fair to say that since John O'Donnell was elected, John O'Donnell very much built himself and put himself forward as the local man who gets things done. And it was very much a vote for me. It was very much a vote for me because I'm the person who will do things. I'm the person who will achieve on your behalf. And if he was concentrating more on his businesses over the past number of years, one wonders if there was just maybe a little bit less done in terms of the day-to-day council work, and if that's maybe what cost him a few votes in the end.
Talking about the success of the 100% redress party, not least Dennis McGee. Someone said I was trying to downgrade Dennis McGee. I don't know what the hell they were on about, and I don't want to be defensive. The point I was trying to make, and Ali Farren, who knows Dennis far better than I, agreed. My point is that he could be anyone that is very, very passionate about it. He's incredibly articulate. He came in, he explained his situation, he explained that this was a problem in Glenties, explained that if you don't think it's in Glenties yet, it is coming. But Ali Farren himself said a couple of weeks ago he was putting up plasterboards. So, I don't understand why people just can't take the win. My comments was that he is just exactly the type of person that you would need in that position. He's relatable. He is like all of us. But anyway, it's not about me.
What I would say about Dennis McGee, and I obviously would have been listening, and I compiled wraparound reports on all the debates over the course of the 2 weeks that you held the debates on air. And one of the things I would have to say, if you were to come to me in a year's time and say, what was the single moment that stood out to you from all the debates that were held on the 9 till noon show over the course of a fortnight in May and into June, I would say the day that Dennis McGee sat in that room and said to you the situation he was in with regards to not qualifying because he had done a bit of work on the house already himself, and that was knocking him out of qualification for the scheme. And he spoke with such passion, and he spoke with such... And you could see the love for his family and the fear for his family both mixed in his voice. I would say, from my own point of view, that was perhaps the most visceral and the most impactful moment of all those debates when Dennis McGee spoke about
and it blindsided, I think, other people in that debate who perhaps were not aware that such a situation pertains. Fianna Fáil lost their seat in Glenties, won by the late Noreen McGarvey 5 years ago. Micheál Cullen, Michael McClafferty, both in, Anthony Malloy, John Seamus O'Ferry, and they're joined then by Dennis McGee. Lifford-Stranorlar also very, very interesting yesterday. But I'll tell you, I do have to take a break. I was a little bit lackadaisical yesterday, and I can't be so today. So I don't know if you're getting ready for 10 or if you want to stay there. Trudy's still with me here, but I am going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more on the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio this Monday morning shortly.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Letterkenny Medics is Ireland's first multi-purpose private medical urgent care and aesthetics centre. Dr. Mohammed El Preya and Dr. Ripu Singh are offering daily appointments from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days per week. Our walk-in clinics offer cardiac screening, weight management, male and female health screening, minor injury, minor surgery, aesthetics and travel vaccinations. To book your appointment, go to letterkennymedics.ie or call 07492 02955. Letterkenny Medics. We listen if you want to talk.
At Opel, it pays to go electric. Quite literally, in fact. That's because our electric models now cost less than petrol or diesel. Order your new 242 Mokka Electric or Astra Electric and avail of our €5,000 Opel Eco Bonus. Flexible payment options, plus 3 years free servicing. You'll be all powered up with lower road tax and lower running costs. Find out more about our 242 offers at Heron Auto Opel. See heronopel.ie for details.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Dare to create this June 15th with Circus Explored in Donegal, fairy folklore at the Giant Grave Cabin, puppet making in Monaghan, and lots more in your area. Crenn na Nog, the National Day of Free Creativity for Young People.
See creativeireland.gov.ie for more. Supported by RTE.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Reimagine your home with an interior design consultation from Foy & Company. At Foy's, we work with commercial and residential clients, and our qualified interior designers and stylists have decades of experience. Call in-store in Letterkenny and book your interior design consultation today. We also offer in-house consultations. Bring us your ideas, your photos, your wallpaper scraps, or your dream boards, and we'll help turn them into tastefully detailed new interior. Transform your home with a visit to Foy & Company.
Because your no claims bonus matters to you, it matters to us. That's why all AXA car insurance policies include accident forgiveness as standard. So you'll never lose all of your no claims bonus if you have an accident or a claim is made against you. Get a quote today at axa.ie. AXA. Know you can. Policy terms and conditions apply. Accident forgiveness, a step back. No claims discount protection for customers with 4 or more years. No claims discount. AXA Insurance DAC is authorised and regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
It's your fault. You deserve it. It's all in your head. They don't mean it. They can change. Recognising male domestic abuse can be hard. Seeking support can be harder. For confidential advice and support, free phone the National Male Advice Line on 1-800-816-588. MAL, more than just a helpline.
Pre-orders for the 242 models have begun at iMotors, and you won't want to miss these incredible offers from Nissan. Enjoy 3.99% finance across the entire Nissan range, including the SUV of the year, the Nissan X-Trail. Prefer electric? Get 0% finance on the Nissan Leaf, or save a whopping €10,000. Visit our showroom in Drumkeen or Malin today and take a test drive. These offers are limited, so hurry and take advantage now.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhinney's. With over 50 years of serving the community in Donegal, McElhinney's is proud to be part of every moment, big and small. Support local, shop McElhinney's Valley Buffet.
Scattered cloud with a few isolated showers this morning, but sunny spells will develop later as the showers die out. Rather cool this afternoon in a northerly breeze with highest temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees. We're going to be recapping what's happened right across the county. Of course, we talked about Glenties, Milford, and we're in Letterkenny, and there's going to be an awful lot of conversation about that. Donald Kavanagh covered Lifford-Stranorlar for us yesterday. And just in a couple of minutes, Donald, I suppose, who got over the line and really the big story out of there. Sorry, 1 second, Donald. Go ahead, yep.
Yeah, the big story in Lifford-Stranorlar was certainly the fact that the poll was topped by Martin Scanlon, an independent who, and as he told me as I was chatting to him in the centre yesterday, decided to run in April on foot of a conversation he had with a friend in the pub. And the conversation was, there is no one representing us here. There is no one speaking up for this area in County House in Lifford. And his mate said, why don't you do it? And he said, right, I will, put himself forward and gave out a message that obviously hit with the voters. He topped the poll. He was comfortably elected. Gary Doherty, Martin Harley, Frank McBurty Jr. all returned. Patrick McGowan returned as well. It then went down to a final battle between Jerry Crawford of Fianna Fáil and in the end, it was Dakota McMenamin that took that final seat. Initially, it looked like it was going to be a Crawford-Nick Venman battle. Then it seemed that Charles Ward of 100% Redress, who was hanging in there right to the end, and Niall McConnell, the independent, they had both been polling strongly as well. And the transfers were going in such a way that it was nip and tuck for many hours. Now, Sinn Féin said afterwards that their tallies and their indications were that they were quite happy it was going to go their way and that they would take the seat. And that was indeed articulated by Piers Doherty when we spoke to him about 2 hours or so before the final declaration. But in the end, Dakota Nick Venman, 25-year-old young mother from the Twin Towns area, elected to Donegal County Council. She says she's going to bring a new voice, a new perspective. And I suppose there's no point in having older men talking about the needs of young mothers when you can have a young mother talking about the needs of young mothers. And she says that's definitely what she's going to be doing in that chamber. Jerry Crawford, a gentleman as always, gracious in defeat, spoke to us, and very magnanimous in his defeat. And he exits Lifford, but as he said, he'll be keeping an eye on things like Lifford Hospital, things like the
Well, I think really, my recollection is you says that to him and he nodded yes.
Yeah, he certainly was.
No, I know. I'm only joking, of course. Listen, Donal, I know you've an awful lot on your plate up there as well. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Donal Kavanagh there from the newsroom. Just to recap, and we will recap again in a show, and of course Donegal as well. But we're in Letterkenny at the moment, the Letterkenny local electoral area, and Trudy O'Donnell is with us as we sort of try and work out what the story is. Right, so talk to me, Trudy, as to why this, this is a process that has to be gone through. It's quite technical as well, because I remember speaking to you early this morning when you were over with the tallies and where you thought, votes that were being passed around where they might go, and then you questioned something about percentages and how they were going to be determined, how many votes were included, and so on and so forth. Maybe you can better explain what that was about.
Well, I suppose it's not
or
that
what the question is, at
exactly.
least. Yeah.
It's not that I was questioning it. It was more extremely curious about how they actually calculated, and it's something that I will find out. It will be found out before the end of today. So whenever they're distributing an excess, so once the candidate reaches the quota, they have an excess then, and that is what is distributed amongst the rest of the candidates. But when that is distributed, it's only a percentage then, obviously that is the excess. So, I mean, there was just different figures that were kind of thrown at me today. Obviously the staff in here know exactly what they're doing. They know how to do that. But I think it would be really, really nice if our listeners and the viewers knew exactly what was happening there, because, I was getting maybe a number in, I suppose one of the examples there, one of the excess that was distributed, and I think Donald Coyle, for example, got 19, and then that worked out that it was actually equated to 7 votes. So it's just how, I know it does change as well, because it's based on the overall votes, it's based on what the percentage in of the excess, but to get that formula will be something I think we would all be very interested in.
And will there be, not questioning it whatsoever, but given the amount of votes we're talking that separate the candidates that we're talking of, will that be scrutinised as well, do you imagine, today?
I doubt the formula won't be scrutinised because it is set in stone, but I think it's just for my own personal curiosity, the way that the excess votes for the last 2 candidates that were eliminated yesterday evening was very interesting. Jerry McMonigal had an excess of 82 to be distributed after he reached the quota once Sandra Haughey was eliminated, because he managed to get a staggering 503 transfers from her. Obviously staying within the Sinn Féin party there with those transfers. So those 82 votes then were, that the 503 then equated, left him that there was 82 over the quota, and that was fine. But then when that was distributed, it was just a small percentage of that the other candidates got. When Divine Thomas Shane, then he had 50 over the quota, and then when that was distributed, it was different, because the numbers that I was given in the tallies then were basically the numbers that were added on to the candidates' votes.
Yes.
So at that point, I'm like, right, what is actually happening? How are they doing this? And again, that's my own curiosity, and I know I'm not the only one wondering that as well, because there's a lot of listeners out there that are not extremely knowledgeable about politics, similar to myself, but are glued, and we're glued in.
I think what we tried to do yesterday as well is explain. To be honest with you, I have a relatively good knowledge of the surpluses and all this type of stuff and the eliminations, but it's the basic stuff. The people behind those gates there, they know the story. Simple question, what the surplus actually means. We have proportional representation, don't we? You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however far you want to go down. If your number 1 gets enough number 1s to exceed the quota, which is worked out, dependent on the seats and the amount of people that have voted. If they exceed the quota, the surplus is votes they have over what they need, and then they're brought back into play, and that's when people start looking at 2, 3, 4s, 5s, and start looking at the formulas that you talk of.
And there's another little thing as well, I suppose, again, that we're curious about, because with that, they have a surplus to be distributed, but some of the time then they're looking at all of the votes and they distribute all of the votes, and then they take the percentage, but other times they just take a small section of the ballot papers.
So in other words, so say there's 1,000 votes, and the quota was 800, they might take 200 from the entire 1,000.
Random selection,
and I can understand why that might happen,
Yeah,
I think.
But that random selection could be very different if you picked a different random selection.
Yes.
Which is why, if that happens, those 5 votes that Mary T. Sweeney is calling the recount for, you're kind of... And again, this is only us all conspiring various things here.
Yes, of course, but this is what it's all about, isn't it? Yeah.
Curiosity.
So, Donald Mandy Kelly is going to top the poll. Thomas Sean
Absolutely.
Devine of the 100% Redress Party is in. Jerry McMonigal, Kieran Brogan, Jimmy Kavanagh, Michael McBride and Donald Coyle all set to be confirmed. That means the Cahirloch, another Cahirloch who's not going to get elected, Kevin Bradley, set to lose his seat. He's just 5 votes ahead of Aintus Mary T. Sweeney. Now, that is as if we cracked on as it was. So what are the possible permutations, say, for instance, if the order of the candidates being eliminated were to change? Huge level of speculation here, but that's what we're here for, if you get me. Yep.
Exactly. I mean, I suppose to change that final seat, that number 7 seat, you're looking at either Mary T. Sweeney or Kevin Bradley having to take a high fraction of the votes that the other candidate is going to be distributing once they are deemed actually eliminated. And they would need over the 100. I think Mary T. Sweeney would need 106. Kevin Bradley would need similar, maybe. Yeah, I haven't worked out that exactly yet.
But there or
an
thereabouts,
excess of 105, 106 votes to surpass Donald Coyle, who then is also going to get transferred votes as well once the candidate has been eliminated. I mean, I think the chance of that
this would
happening-
exactly, it's slim, but this would have been this would potentially drag Donald Coyle back into the mix and elevate Mary T. Sweeney into that final 7th seat. That's if the order of elimination is changed.
Exactly,
It really it's complex, but it's actually also quite simple. Really,
Well, I
when we
think,
come down to it.
I suppose what you're looking at there is Mary T. Sweeney is hanging on to the possibility of Kevin Bradley being eliminated and some of his votes, a high amount of his votes, transferring to her so that she surpasses Donald Coyle and jumps into that 7th seat.
And I think too the working consensus yesterday is this is democracy. This is part of the process. This is very important. This isn't busybodying or nitpicking or sour grapes or sore losers.
No.
We're talking about a handful, quite literally a handful of votes here. The amount of effort, time and resources that have gone in. I think everyone, as frustrating as it might be, wants to say, right, listen, if we have to just double check things, we're confident everything is as is, but if we have to, I think there's 170 spoiled votes. They've already been scrutinised, right? But anyway, so like that's it's democracy. We have to go through this.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I noticed last night, and I mean I didn't comment on it last night, but I mean Mary T. Sweeney was talking to the officials here, and I know it was commented on last night that all of the other candidates were surrounding her and they shouldn't have been surrounding her and stuff. But the thing about that is these candidates are there for themselves. It's not another team.
Yeah,
it's
I think,
not a football team.
I think
the
just
manager,
yesterday what it was is it was no one surrounding Mary T. Sweeney.
No,
I think
but
what it was is Mary T. Sweeney was speaking to council officials by herself, and then she walked away, and then 7 or 8 other elected reps then were engaging with the executive. I didn't question that. I just observed it and wondered what the story was. Now, what does I mean? Can the council executive be lobbied in that regard? That's what I was just curious of.
Yeah, no, but it wasn't your own comment. I think it was just more that they're all there entitled to their own. They're representing themselves, I suppose. And I mean, Mary T wasn't at all. I do not feel she was anyway intimidated there at all yesterday.
No, well, I'll tell you one thing.
It'll take a lot more than that.
She's not a lady.
Exactly, it'll take a lot more than that.
And there was no attempt to intimidate her. You're quite right to make that quite clear. All right, it is the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. We are going to keep you updated with everything's happening here from the Ora Leisure Centre. Not a great deal at this point, it has to be said, but also, and we were always going to be doing this, we're looking back over the weekend. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union.
Imagine a wedding venue that can be hired exclusively for you and your guests. Picture stunning views overlooking one of Donegal's most scenic beaches. An authentic country manor as your accommodation, incredible glass-fronted marquee views all day, and a team of experts who want to help you plan every step of the way. Sounds too good to be true? Not at Drumhalla House in Rathmullen. It really has to be seen to be believed. Visit drumhallahouse.ie or check out Drumhalla House on Instagram for more details.
The neighbours have done it. Your friends have done it. Even your mum's done it. Now you can do it too. Save €10,000 on a new Nissan Leaf. There's never been a better time to switch to electric. Nissan Leaf with €10,000 off for a limited time only. Visit nissan.ie or contact your local Nissan dealer right now for details. Nissan. Innovation that excites. Savings inclusive of €3,500 SEAI EV grant. Terms and conditions apply.
Being a Garda Reserve will change your life, but it can also change someone else's. I'm Kevin, and in all my years as a social worker, I've built up many skills in communicating with vulnerable adults and children. I've always thought about becoming a Garda, but having seen my mother join as a Garda Reserve, it made me realise I could use my communication skills to help the service. Being on the ground and helping with community interaction is extremely rewarding and, above all, helpful for the team. The experience has been fantastic groundwork towards my next move into full-time Garda training. Being a Garda is a tough job. And that's why being a Garda Reserve is a job worth doing. Apply now at publicjobs.ie.
Find the sunshine at McElhenney's and Ballybuffet. Shop in store and discover thousands of discounted lines with at least 20% off. Purchase any eligible discounted product with the sunshine on it to be in with a chance of winning a holiday worth €1,500 in collaboration with Atlantic Travel Letterkenny. Don't miss out. Visit us in store at McElhenney's Ballybuffet and find your sunshine.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. The 100% Redress Party is set to become Donegal County Council's third biggest party with 4 seats, one more than Fine Gael. Ali Farren has been elected in Carndonagh, Joy Baird in Buncrana and Dennis McGee in Glenties. A recount in Letterkenny means the final declaration of the result there is delayed, but Thomas Sean Devine is assured of a seat there. PRO Ali Farren says this is a result which cannot be ignored. He says their eyes are now firmly on the next general election.
We will be looking round to see who we can get, who's the best candidate to send to Dublin. Decisions have been made in Dublin. Voices from this county haven't been strong enough. If you want something done, you've got to do it yourself. So we're going to send somebody from, hopefully, with the backing of the public. We will be hopefully running a candidate in the next election. We're going to need a bigger team, a lot bigger team, and we're going to need new shoes, and we'll be ready.
The Letterkenny recount is getting underway around now, and assuming the outcome matches the final tallies, the state of the parties on council will be 10 Fianna Fáil, 10 Sinn Féin, 9 Independents, 4 100% Redress, 3 Fine Gael and 1 Labour. The 4 100% Redress councillors will be joined by newcomers Fionn Bradley in Buncrana, Manus Boyle and Jimmy Brogan in Donegal, Martin Bradley and Dakota Nick Venman in Lifford-Stranorlar and Declan Meehan in Milford. The outgoing councillors who lost their seats are Johnny McGuinness in Carndonagh, Barry Sweeney in Donegal, Jerry Crawford in Lifford-Stranorlar and John O'Donnell in Milford. Again, assuming that final tallies are borne out in Letterkenny, Kevin Bradley will lose his seat there. Counting also underway once again in Castlebar for the Midlands North West European election constituency. A massive list of 27 candidates contesting that one. The candidates in the running for the seats at the moment look to be Barry Cowan of Fianna Fáil, Maria Walsh of Fine Gael, Independent Ireland candidate Ciarán Mullally, and also the Independent Luke Ming Flanagan. They're all showing very well. 5 seats to be filled there. Sinn Féin's Chris McManus, some indications he's been struggling, but tallies for that European election are very, very scrappy, and it will be this evening's first count before we'll get a clear picture of what's happening there. First count anticipated in Castlebar at around about 6 o'clock this evening. The candidates and their agents have been invited to scrutinise the dubious votes and the contested votes at 10:30 this morning. Other news: in French President Emmanuel Macron has called a snap election. It's after exit polls showed Marine Le Pen's National Rally is set to trounce Macron's party in a historic win for the hard right in the European elections. Mr. Macron says he couldn't pretend that nothing had happened.
This is a serious and weighty decision, but above all of it is an act of trust. Confidence in you, my dear compatriots, in the ability of the French people to make the just choice for themselves and for future generations.
Here, the Taoiseach says he relishes the prospect of pushing back populism in Ireland. It comes after Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil performed more strongly in the European and local elections than forecast. Donegal did buck that trend in the local election.
Sinn Féin support held up in Donegal, but they did lose ground nationally. The predicted surge in far-right support, meanwhile, didn't materialise. Simon Harris insists he won't be calling an early election, but he says by the same token he won't allow Sinn Féin time to figure out what went wrong for them.
Well, I don't intend to give them an inch, but what I do intend to do is work really hard every day to deliver. The timing of the election, though, isn't a matter of just party political consideration. I'm Taoiseach for 61 days. I promise people I'm going to hit the ground running, promise people that I'm going to make politics work for them, that I want to see delivery, and that's what I want to obsess about in the coming period of time. And I look forward to the general election campaign. I relish the opportunity to push back populism in this country.
A woman has been killed in a road collision in County Meath. She was the sole occupant of a car which crashed on the main street in Rathtoth at around 1 o'clock this morning. The woman, who was aged in her 60s, was pronounced dead at the scene, and her body has now been moved to the mortuary at Our Lady's Hospital in Navan, where a post-mortem examination will be carried out. Main Street in Rathtoth is currently closed to traffic and diversions are in place. Gardaí are appealing to any witnesses to the crash to come forward. And almost 6,000 refugees are stuck in international protection because they can't find a home. An ESRI report shows those who have their applications approved are often left in IPAS centres due to a shortage of housing supplies. Other problems facing refugees include language barriers and discrimination, again blocking some from being able to find a place to live. Ciara Murphy, the co-author of the report, says it's not just housing that's a challenge.
So things like kind of reception centres in isolated areas and kind of the system of dispersal that doesn't think long term when it's sending people out, but also a lack of clarity in local authorities about the rights and entitlements of this group.
Well, the forecast, scattered cloud with some isolated showers this morning. Sunny spells developing later as the showers die out. Rather cool in the afternoon in a northerly breeze with top temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees Celsius. A mix of scattered cloud and some lingering isolated showers this evening and into tonight. But some clear spells will develop later. Little cooler overnight with lowest temperatures 4 to 6 degrees Celsius. A northerly breeze. Tomorrow morning we'll see some sunny spells, but cloud will build later with some isolated showers for the afternoon and evening. Light winds and highest temperatures on Tuesday of 11 to 14 degrees Celsius. Well, that's Highland Radio News for now. You can check all of the day's news on our website, highlandradio.com. Our next headlines, as we say, is at 11. But for now, from the news team, have a very good morning. Don't forget, Greg is in the Orr Leisure Centre with the team down there. The recount of votes cast in the Letterkenny electoral area has just begun in Orr. Greg will be there for the duration, and every single step of the way you'll be kept firmly up to date here on Highland Radio. But for now, good morning. The obituary notices for this Monday morning, the 10th of June. The death has taken place of Michael Mick Kennedy, Convoy Road, Drumkeen. Mick's remains will repose at his late residence from 1 o'clock until 10 o'clock today and from 11 until 10 tomorrow. Rosary nightly at 9. Funeral from his residence on Wednesday at 11:30, going to St Patrick's Church, Drumkeen, for Requiem Mass at 12 noon. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. Family time, please, on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. The sudden death has taken place of Finan McCrory, Ranafast. His remains will repose at his home tomorrow and Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m, with Rosary nightly at 8. House private, please, after the Rosary and on the morning of the funeral. The funeral mass will take place on Thursday morning at 11 in St Mary's Star of the Sea Church, Annagry, with interment afterwards in the new cemetery, Annagry. The funeral mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director's Facebook page. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu to Pieta House. The sudden death has taken place of Paul McElhinney, Port Nabla, Dunfanaghy and London. Funeral arrangements will be confirmed later. No wake. The house is private, please. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to St John's Church, Ballymore, care of any family member, or James Harkin, Funeral Director, Creaslow. The death has occurred in Glasgow of Michael Boyle, Glasgow, formerly of Craughey Boyle, Dunlow. His remains will repose at his home in Craughey Boyle from 12 noon tomorrow, with Rosary at 9. House private, please, after the Rosary. Funeral Mass on Wednesday morning at 11 in Star of the Sea Church, Annagry, with interment afterwards in the new cemetery, and house private, please, before the funeral. The death has taken place of Roisin Murphy, née Farren, Rian Allegain, Glen Bay, County Kerry, and formerly of Coromina in Inishowen. Roisin's remains will repose at her home from 2 o'clock until 7 o'clock today. Removal tomorrow morning at 11:15, arriving for Requiem Mass at 12 noon in St James's Church, Glen Bay, Kerry, with burial afterwards in Ballinakilla Cemetery. No flowers, please. Donations only to the Kerry Palliative Care Unit in Tralee. The death has taken place of Sister Elizabeth Devine, St Joseph's Convent of Mercy, Newton Kennedy Street, Strabane, formerly of Ballyarton, Claudy, County Derry. Her remains are reposing at St Patrick's Church, Claudy, with Requiem Mass this afternoon at 4 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Dorothy Rosemary Murdoch, Ballybrack Lodge, Moville. Rosemary's funeral service will take place tomorrow at 12:30 in Moville Presbyterian Church, followed by burial in Clar Cemetery, Redcastle. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Donkey Sanctuary, care of Eamon McLaughlin, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Brian Forrester, 18 Melmount Park, Strabane, formerly of Park, County Derry. Funeral leaving his home today at 12 noon for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount at 12:30. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to the Foyle Hospice, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Katie Brennan, Market Square, Clonmany. Funeral from her late residence tomorrow at 10:30, going to St Mary's Church, Clonmany for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in the new cemetery. Family only, please, on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only, please. I do beg your pardon. I will repeat that. Funeral from her late residence this morning at 10:30. That's the death has taken place of Katie Brennan, Market Square, Clonmany. Funeral leaving her late residence this morning at 10:30, going to St Mary's Church, Clonmany for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial in the new cemetery. Family flowers only, please, with the funeral mass viewed on churchservices.tv. That Requiem Mass taking place this morning at 11, leaving her residence at 10:30. And the death has taken place of Vic Whittington, Cranboy, Lochras Point, Ardra. Funeral from his son Shane's residence at Lochras Point, Ardra this morning at 10:30, going to the Church of the Holy Family, Ardra, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with cremation afterwards in Lakelands Crematorium, County Cavan at 4 o'clock. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu to the Irish Cancer Society, care of Annie, family member.
Highland Radio. McDonald's fries. You are the sun in my skies. You brighten my life. McDonald's fries. You taste of paradise, and my love I can't disguise. Oh, McDonald's fries.
Thanks for the poem, Lisa. The fries you love, now love you back. Introducing McDonald's Surprise Fries. Thousands of tasty prizes to be won, including cash. Peel your fries on pack and play an app for a chance to win. 18 plus. ROI only. McDonald's app required. MLL fries only. And 2nd of July 2024. Rules apply.
The county's #1 talk show. The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. We're broadcasting live this morning from the Aura Leisure Centre. We've got, obviously, other things that we are going to discuss over the course of the morning, and stay tuned for that. But just to let you know where we're at here at the moment, a recount has just begun. We don't know precisely how long it's going to take. All things going well, we could have quite a significant proportion of it completed over the next 3 to 4 hours. That being said, if for any other reason, something pops up, it could be 5 or 6 hours, but it should be done today. I think Donal recapped the runners and riders and what have you over the course of that news, and we do appreciate his involvement with that. But Justin Glenty, to recap, Fianna Fáil lost their seat, won by the late Noreen McGarvey 5 years ago. Outgoing Councillor Micheál Colin McGillen-Asbeck, Michael McClafferty, Anthony Malloy and John Seamus O'Ferry. They're joined by Dennis McGee, the third member of the 100% Redress Party to be elected after Joy Beard and Ali Farren. Lifford-Stranorlar, as we mentioned, 2 new faces there. Poll topper independent Martin Scanlon, Sinn Féin's Dakota Nick Venman. They're joined by outgoing members Gary Doherty, Frank McBurty, Martin Harley and Patrick McGowan. Jerry Crawford lost his seat. Milford, as I mentioned, produced one of the shocks of the election with the elimination of John O'Donnell, the previous poll topper. Independent Declan Meehan topped the poll and joins Liam Blaney and Pádraig McGlarvey in Lifford. In the Donegal local electoral area, Micheál Naughton and Noel Jordan were elected, with Fine Gael's Barry Sweeney losing out to his running mate Manus Boyle. Also elected were independent Jimmy Brogan and outgoing members Niamh Kennedy and Micheál Naughton. Interesting chatting to Niamh Kennedy last night that she had commented that she'd been preparing her speech to effectively mark her deselection. As it turned out, that wasn't the way it turned out. In Buncrana, 5 elected there. Outgoing Councillor Jack Murray, Paul Canning, Terry Crossan, joined by Joy Beard, as I mentioned, and Fianna Fáil's Fiannan Bradley. In Carndonagh, Albert Doherty, Martin McDermott and Martin Farren, they're all back. They're to be joined by 100% Redress's Ali Farren, who topped the poll. Now, we spoke to Johnny McGuinness, and you may have heard him in the news and earlier bulletins. He lost his seat. He wasn't looking for a recount or anything, but he was considering options as it relates to a procedural complaint. Trudy O'Donnell is with me, helping out with our coverage today. Very much appreciated. Johnny McGuinness, very articulate in what he was trying to say. Very clear that this wasn't about any concern with counting or anything like that there. This was about procedure. Can you, for the benefit of our listeners, particularly those in the Carndonagh area, what is the basis there of the complaint potentially?
I was tied up here.
Let me do it then.
I was tied up here with the tallying and keeping on top of everything here, that I kind of missed a lot of the stuff that was happening throughout the county.
Well, effectively earlier in the process, 2 people were eliminated with a low amount of votes, and they were eliminated one after the other. Then it came to a point where 2 more were to be eliminated, and they were grouped together and eliminated at the same time. Now, Johnny's contention, I believe, is that if they'd have been eliminated separately, I beg your pardon, that it could have elected Albert Doherty. One of them could have, and then of course that all, as we've been talking, could change the way the cards fell. So as I say, he's very articulate. He wasn't criticising anyone. It was a procedural question mark he had, and there's so much at stake, Trudy. I think sometimes maybe I can be, or others in the media can be can be accused of sort of forgetting that we're talking about people's livelihoods, people's heritage, people's history.
Yeah, and jobs, I suppose, as well.
Yeah.
People have given up jobs to take on their positions in the council as well. Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't 100% sure what was happening in a lot of the other constituencies as well. But again, it's one of those things that a lot of our listeners, and we would need clarification on different things. I just was getting various documents there online from some of the election sites and stuff, so I have been sent some, so I'm going to spend a wee bit of time scrutinising those as well.
You're so stubborn, you see.
I will find out.
You're so stubborn. You're determined to find out about these percentages and
but
what
I mean,
have you.
it's completely understandable, and it's that thing as well that we're looking at here. I mean, if you're eliminating one person, and that can change the whole outcome of an election. And I think that was the thing, I suppose, in McGuinness's case as well. He wanted the possibility of one person being eliminated. That would change the outcome then after those distribution of those votes. That could have had a complete change.
Yeah, and there's just as an overview, there's a national picture here and there's a local picture here. We'll stay local for the time being. The council now, 10 Fianna Fáil, 10 Sinn Féin, 9 independents, 4 redress, 3 Fine Gael, 1 Labour. I don't know what I was expecting. I didn't really predict anything. I've said for the longest time that, and often they don't text into radio shows and they're probably not very vocal on social media, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael have very strong support in this county.
Yes.
And it will always hold up. Where it comes to the point whereby you probably don't say it publicly, I don't know if we've ever been there, whatever, but there is a core support there, isn't there? And they came out. Fine Gael, though, obviously would be disappointed to be the third biggest party. Actually, it's the fourth biggest party behind Fianna Fáil,
and
Sinn
100%
Féin,
redress.
And 100% redress.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, I suppose, going from Saturday, I mean, I was calling the tallies on Saturday for the full day. That's why my voice sounds a little bit tired today as well, I'd say. And noticing on paper as well, the 100% redress party were extremely transferable. I mean, the votes that were coming, their first tallies, some of them weren't extremely high, but they picked up votes everywhere. And I mean, that's what we were looking at as well yesterday, throughout the county yesterday and throughout the county. And I mean, those first counts, you were looking at some of the candidates from that party and thinking, there's no way. And I mean, I think Dennis McGee was one of them. On his first count, you know, that was a low count, but he picked that up. And I mean, you saw the same thing here. Now, Thomas Devine did poll really highly on the first count, but then it just added up and he was picking up continuously throughout the line. So that, I think, to me shows that, I suppose, in relation to the Fianna Fáil and the Fine Gael, like, they may have voted for their candidate, but that they're number two then. Their number twos were going, because these are people that possibly and very likely have MICA, and they are just... they're crying out for that help, and to them, the number two transferred to the 100% MICA redress candidates, and I think that was across the county.
Okay,
Trudy, were you going to stick around, are you?
I'm going to be
Brilliant
here for the
stuff.
full day.
Okay, I've got handed a sheet with two numbers on it, and it's got two words on it, bingo numbers. Caroline, I never played the bingo numbers to this time. But anyway, listen, come here. And I'm so conscious that there's going to be some of you listening there that are going, oh, would you ever shut up about it? It's okay, I do understand that. And I'm not saying you're all bingo players. But anyway, here are the numbers, and we'll be back with more here live today, as it turns out, live from the Oral Leisure Centre.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday, the 10th of June. You're playing on the green sheet. The reference number is S16. It's game number 24. The numbers are 42, 87, 2, 86, 54, 71, 20, 7, 17, and finally 64. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
It all begins with a thump as the needle nestles into a deep valley of vinyl. Sizzle and crackle turns into fizzle and scratch, and the mesmerizing rotations pop and hiss and...
Ah, the crackle of a vinyl record. Just one of the ordinary sounds rediscovered by Sean. Whatever sounds you've lost, our hearing experts could help you find them again. Book a free hearing test at Specsavers.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. The Civic Dollars project is about promoting healthy communities through increased time spent in our outdoor local recreation spaces across Donegal. Download the Civic Dollars app. Locate your nearest Earn Zone on the map and hit go. After 30 minutes, you will have earned a Civic Dollar. The app measures the time spent in the designated Earn Zone and does not record steps or distance to ensure the project is inclusive of participants with mobility or health issues. For more information and to see a list of over 80 Earn Zone sites, see donegalcoco.ie/community/healthy Donegal. Donegal County Council, supporting healthy communities.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Okay.
Text or WhatsApp your view to Greg on 086 60 25,000.
Literally put that in there myself 20 seconds ago and then forgot about it. Okay, you can text WhatsApp 086 60 25,000. We really appreciate your contacts today. We're broadcasting live from the Ora Leisure Centre here in Letterkenny as a recount gets underway in the Letterkenny electoral area. But we have other business that we also want to talk about as well. And we're joined now by Joe Corkery of the Special Needs Parents Network Donegal. Thank you so very much for calling down to us, and a very good morning to you.
Hi, Greg. How's it going? Thanks.
Things are going good. Beg your pardon?
Things are going great here.
Okay, very good. Now, we're looking at some figures in the context of the launch of a new website providing resources to support families. We might start there if that's okay, actually, because I really think that's really quite important. So talk to us about this new website and the initiative.
Absolutely. So I suppose we're here is, first of all, I suppose, to celebrate Carers Week. And we have been working now with Special Needs Parents Network since mid-September of last year, and we want to mark Carers Week this week to, I suppose, highlight to you all of the initiatives that we have. So we have a brand new launched website to support families. On there, families can see information about benefits and entitlements if you have a child or an adult child with a disability. We also have different resources, information about therapies, about different other things that you can access as an individual with a disability or as a family member of someone that has a disability. We have information about education, and obviously that's very, very important to families who whose children are in settings, whether they are mainstream settings or special education settings. And then we have a section of our website we feel really passionately about, and that's called Access Donegal. And Access Donegal, I suppose, gives us an opportunity to showcase all of the fantastic work that's happening around our county to provide inclusive and accessible places to visit, experiences and places to stay in County Donegal. Because I suppose the fact of the matter is, Greg, if you have a child with a disability, regardless of whether that's a physical disability or otherwise, you can't just go on a day out just at a whim. You have to do a lot of research around, is it going to be accessible? Can we even get in there? Is there any risks to my child
and
here?
That can vary from family to family, depending on the child's needs.
Absolutely. And I suppose we really wanted to showcase there are organisations out there who are doing amazing work on that. We have 2 or 3, places to stay and accommodations in Donegal that are fully inclusive and accessible with hoists and ramps, and we know families that travel all over Ireland to visit those. And I suppose we also wanted to highlight that Donegal is a beautiful and accessible place to visit, because very often if you're an individual with a disability, or if you have one in your family, travelling abroad isn't really a realistic option sometimes.
But even too, in terms of if you're travelling inter-county,
absolutely,
you have to travel your stops. You have to plan often your stops on the way as well. That is the level of planning that often has to go in.
Absolutely. So that's going to really grow, hopefully, for us over the summer. We have some really exciting initiatives coming up over the summer for that, to really emphasise, as I said, the most beautiful county we live in, and we want to really, I suppose, emphasise the work that's going on by organisations around the county to be accessible and inclusive.
Of course, we recently had the Disabilities Minister, Anne Rabbitt, in Donegal, and I suppose it's about delivery, but it's clear she gets it, right? She gets what's going on up here.
Yeah.
And she also doesn't just get it in a nodding eye and nod kind of way. Some significant funding for No Barriers.
Fantastic.
We'll have to see how that develops. Okay, that's a work in progress, and a few other areas. Just your reaction then to the minister and her visit, and how it made you and other parents feel.
Well, I suppose it made us feel seen.
Yeah.
To be honest, we've been, Highland Radio have been very supportive of SNPN and all of the other parents out there advocating for better services for their children. And, we knew getting into this that it wasn't going to be a sprint, it was going to be a marathon. There's a lot of work done, a lot more to do. And I suppose the news last week with Minister Rabbitt and the funding that's going to No Barriers, who are an inspirational organisation. They really are fantastic.
And do you know what the funny thing is No Barriers, in speaking to them, there's no barriers in their attitude.
Yes. It's all about potential.
Isn't it? But even in terms of what they're not confining themselves in what they can achieve.
No, absolutely.
They've got the framework there, but it's like, and I found from the conversation, there weren't some answers to some questions, but that wasn't because the answers weren't there. That's because they almost haven't, in an exciting way,
Yeah.
Say, right, we're not going to sort of limit ourselves in what we're going to achieve here.
It's really, really fantastic. And they are a phenomenal organisation, and we're absolutely delighted. And there are other organisations that have received funding around the county or close to the county, and that are waiting to hear as well about that Children's Disability Grant. So we're waiting, with great excitement about that.
Do you know there's an irony here sometimes too? I've noticed over the years with Carers Week, in that often there can be lots and lots of different events, and I've spoken to carers who, for instance, can't get respite to attend these events.
Yes,
and it's just something doesn't rest easy with me on that line. I'm not saying cancel the week, but we'd have twice as many people here if we had respite.
Absolutely.
Or proper respite.
Absolutely. So it is Carers Week. We have a couple of initiatives that's happening this week to celebrate that. We have a webinar on managing the challenges and emotions in a caring role. Everybody is open and welcome to attend that. That's on Thursday night. Just link in with our website on www.snpn.Donegal to access the link for that webinar, and I'm sure it'll be really, really informative and helpful for us. We also have been very fortunate to receive a number of sponsored gifts from businesses around the county, which we will be, gifting to carers over the course of the week. So we're excited about that. And we are delighted that we have our next big piece of research starting next week, which is on respite, as you say. So, respite is incredibly important to families, to caregivers, and also to those individuals with a disability who are, accessing it. So we have a focus group starting next week on, the user experiences and identification of needs of respite in County Donegal. We have a cross-section of parents joining us to speak about their experiences and their needs, and that's parents of children and adults with all disabilities and of all ages. And really what we're identifying is, well, what is respite? What does it look like to you? There are many different forms of respite. It's not just about overnight respite. There are many different alternative forms. There are many organisations, just to name a few, like iCare and BlueStack, who are providing amazing services from an alternative respite perspective across the county. So what's happening and how can we further maximise it? Are there any low-hanging fruit to try and increase access to respite? And it's also really another facet of our research is, well, for the individual themselves, socially respite is really important to them. Sometimes we get very over-focused on the feature that, it's to give the caregiver a break, but it's also a social experience, for someone where they're away from their caregiver for a period of time. And God knows we all need that as well. So
everyone does.
So it's really, really important.
Often all the siblings in the house and stuff
Absolutely,
as well.
for the siblings as well. So we're really excited about that, and we hope that, in a couple of months' time, when we have a bit more of a feel of what that'll look like, we'll be back to speak to you about our research.
Has this all come from that initial connection of people?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is really quite remarkable what has grown from here, and we've funny not to tie it into the elections, but we were talking about the emergence of the 100% redress party.
Exactly.
Didn't exist October. Now they've got 4 councillors. It's looking like that there. And Joe, you and a couple of others come together, and it's just the level of organisation and the layers of what you're doing. It's really people power. Is so remarkable, and when you harness that, right, we can achieve anything. No,
absolutely.
The progress, you could judge achievements on progress and all that kind of stuff. But be that as it may, I just really think it's a mark. I'm so impressed with what you have done.
It's about listening to the people and what they need as well, Greg. And it's about listening to and understanding what the needs are. And it's the same as you say. Very, very flattered that you draw parallels with 100% redress, but it is about understanding, well, what's going on in the ground and how are people feeling, what are they experiencing, what are their challenges, and where are the opportunities.
Well, listen, you're doing it in a different way, but you have the ears of ministers.
Yes,
you can't be ignored by politicians.
Yeah.
There's resources being put in place for others.
Yeah.
Just being able to speak excitedly about the possibilities that are there in terms of day trips or what have you. So I just think I think it's remarkable. I really do. I think it's brilliant. Okay, anything else you want to mention, Joe?
Yes, if possible. I would.
There's always a one. There's always a
There's always one. And actually, I was listening to Ali Farren on the way in here from 100% Redress, and I just wanted to echo what he was saying. I think you guys and the team here have done a phenomenal job over the weekend. We were all glued to YouTube. We've seen every pore in your face, Ger, or Craig, over the weekend.
But I had the beauty filter on. No, I did not. This is all right. This is natural.
You had your facial last week.
This is natural beauty.
So no, we want to, really, you did an amazing job, and it's been a very exciting week, and you absolutely deserve your rest now after today.
All right. Well, listen, as I say,
thank you for your support.
There's contacts here, and there's other people in their home life and day-to-day life that do far more than I do, and it's just rearing children. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it.
Me?
I get it.
All right,
sure.
Thank you very much indeed. I always enjoy having Joe Corkery on, and check out what they've done and what they've achieved. And if you sort of feel frustrated in life or feel that you're not being listened to or progress isn't made or there's gaps, get together with a couple of like-minded people, and it's remarkable what you can achieve or what you can begin to achieve. It's a work in progress. There's no doubt about that.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
At Opel, it pays to go electric. Quite literally, in fact. That's because our electric models now cost less than petrol or diesel. Order your new 242 Mokka Electric or Astra Electric and avail of our €5,000 Opel Eco Bonus, flexible payment options, plus 3 years free servicing. You'll be all powered up with lower road tax and lower running costs. Find out more about our 242 offers at Manor Motors Opel. See manormotors.ie for details.
Glasgow calling. Fly from Donegal with Loganair for a seamless travel experience. Book your flight now at loganair.co.uk and discover the vibrant city of Glasgow. Travel with ease and comfort from Donegal to Glasgow with Loganair.
Calling all bread enthusiasts, get ready to knead, bake and rise to the challenge with the launch of Rise with Aldi's new bread baking competition. This year's winner will pocket €15,000 and get to sell their prize loaf in Aldi stores for a whole year. Visit aldi.ie/risewithaldi for details on drop-off points at selected Aldi stores. Not trying to butter you up, but we know you can do it. Go all Aldi. T's and C's apply. Visit aldi.ie/risewithaldi for details.
Thank you, Ireland. We're bringing it back. On average, we're now returning over 2.5 million plastic bottles and cans every day. And since launch on February 1st, we've brought back over 150 million drinks containers to deposit return points nationwide. Deposit return ensures we value our resources, recycle more efficiently, and it helps us work towards achieving our EU recycling targets. Return for less litter, less waste, and better recycling for Ireland. Visit return.ie for more.
Listen up, drivers in Sligo. Bus Éireann are hiring D-licensed drivers in your county. Start your journey with Ireland's most customer-centred, sustainable transport company. Come to our driver recruitment open evening in the Great Northern Hotel Bundoran on Tuesday the 11th of June from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. to learn more.
Okay, I think that's us back. Right, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. It's great to be with you for another week. Just to remind you, we are streaming the programme if you wish to watch it, if it suits you. I know lots of you are back at work and busy doing other things, but we are on YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, and we're on X platform, Highland Radio Donegal, and we're keeping you up to date as best as we can with what's happening here at the Count Centre in Letterkenny. The recount began at 10 o'clock. Trudy O'Donnell is with me, and Trudy, you've been over sort of sussing out what's going on, so talk to us.
Yeah, we're getting in the mix there as well. It is getting busier here. There's a lot of people in now as well around the counts. So what's happening there now at the minute, Mary T is basically looking to pull back votes from Kevin Bradley, and she has now successfully done one. So
the gap is to 4 now?
Yeah, the gap is to 4 now. I mean, it will be a long process, but...
Can I ask a question just in relation to that? Is the member of the Bradley team over there sort of going, well, actually...
yeah, there will be somebody there. I haven't looked to see now. I mean...
Not specifically, but I'm saying, in other words...
I can see Donald Coyle is there as well. Yeah. Mary T is there. I don't see Kevin there himself, but there will be representatives from those parties there. Like most of the parties there will be represented today. Possibly not the ones that are up on the top end. They don't really have too much to worry about. But I mean, how Mary T got that vote, it was actually one of Kevin Bradley's votes. was actually for Thomas Devine. So it was a Thomas Devine +1. He was 1 vote, but that was in Kevin Bradley's bunch.
So at what point of the count have we resumed here? Is it a full recount?
The start, yeah.
So we're actually at the moment only scrutinising papers. There has not been a first count yet.
No, they're counting now the number 1 votes for each candidate. And they're in bundles of 50 that they did yesterday. So, I mean, I think part of the thing as well that Mary T is looking at, I mean, yesterday the spoiled votes, there was 19 ballot papers that were actually unpunched. And I mean, that's a lot as well. So she's honing in on those ballot papers to ensure that they are properly punched as well and they are valid.
Where would they be punched? Here?
So whenever you go in to actually vote,
of
when
course,
you go
yes,
in to
yes,
do it,
of course, yeah.
The people that are handing you the ballot papers have to punch them for them to be official. And I mean, there's 2 things there. It's also your responsibility to ensure that they do that before you actually write anything on the ballot paper, and even after, to make sure. So you're also accountable for that.
That's the voter.
Exactly, the voter. There's 2 people there. So that will be a big thing even today, to just make sure that every single one of Kevin Bradley's ballot papers, and on the other side, every one of Mary T's papers are properly punched as well, to ensure that they are a valid vote for that candidate.
All right, okay, stay where you are there. Some texts coming in, and I want to say thanks to everyone who is texting in. Hi, Greg. It's pure luck when you choose number 2, 3, 4, etc. on the ballot papers. Those numbered candidates are not counted, especially if you vote for one of the popular candidates and your ballot paper is used as part of the first count to reach the tally. But it's randomised. I mean, I think that does the process a disservice, doesn't it?
And is that caller saying that in general, whenever you vote 2, 3, 4, and 5, that's random? Or
yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe I'm taking that wrong, but I mean, if you vote 2, 3, 4, 5 right down the line, whenever that number 1 candidate, let's say, is elected, their votes then are redistributed, their surplus, or if a candidate is eliminated, that then is going to the number 2. If the number 2 is a candidate that has already been deemed elected, then it goes to the number 3. If that candidate's been eliminated, it goes to number 4. It goes right down the line. So in a lot of the cases, you're over there and you're looking at those papers and you might be right down to 6 or a 7.
And then when we talk about non-transferable votes, is that likely, say, for instance, that the 2 and 3 are for 2 people that's already elected and there isn't a 4?
Well, sometimes it can be that case, but as well as that, you will have a lot of cases where people just write a number 1. So a number 1 for that candidate, that's non-transferable because there's no number 2. The second one as well, if somebody goes in and just puts a tick beside one candidate, that's fine, that's their candidate, and that's really it. So sometimes people just write a number 1, some write a 1 and 2, and then again it might be the case if somebody has written 1, 2, 3, they have been either eliminated or deemed elected, and that's really it. It doesn't go any further then, so they're non-transferable.
All right, okay. Listen, Trudy, thank you very much for that. I do appreciate it. Well, don't go away yet anyway. I just want to I'll get to some texts here. Hi, Greg. I know it's old news already, but I really feel that Ukrainians and other refugees should definitely not have had a vote in any of our elections. Maybe if they are citizens and have been here for a minimum of 10 years, I feel it's distorted some results in our local elections. I don't think many countries around the world would have done that. I can't see anywhere in Donegal where that the vote appears to have been distorted. Quite the contrary, where people might have expected to be distorted, it certainly wasn't. I mean, the local elections, and this was all sorted out in 1999, was it not? The local elections, because, you know, whether you are a citizen or not, you are affected by the services of a local authority. I presume that's the logic as to why anyone living in a local electoral area and is normally resident in there has the right to vote. It's not about immigration, migration, whatever. It's literally about having your say on the types of services that are delivered to you.
Exactly.
I don't understand why they wouldn't. Personally, honestly, have that.
I mean,
now, when we get to matters of presidential elections, general elections, and that type of stuff, whereby, you know, it affects things in a different way. Yes, of course, they're not allowed to vote in some of those, but the local elections is about local services and local issues and local matters. Truly,
yeah, that's it. And I mean, there has been a lot of talk about that as well. I mean, it's possibly not something I'm extremely comfortable commenting on either way, you know, but I mean, again, they're here, they are entitled to a vote. We haven't made that decision. That has come from the very top. But I suppose, as you did say there possibly were candidates that they were hoping. I mean, on the supplementary register, there was 2,700 added on to the register there and in the supplementary. And like I saw that register, and I mean, without a doubt, I mean, the high proportion of that were not like born in Ireland, let's say, and I do think there was candidates that were really hoping that might help them, bring them over the line, but it didn't.
No, and I can't
change.
really clearly see any pattern whereby those votes actually influence things in
They
any way,
definitely
shape or form.
didn't. No,
And also, by the way, let's not forget that I could move to Wales
Yeah.
and vote in the local elections there. I could move to Scotland and vote in the elections there. I think it's very important that we continue, and I really would advocate this, that we
Yeah.
continue to think for ourselves and not allow certain things to be amplified as to, I don't see, if anyone can point to somewhere in Donegal whereby the increased population here has skewed an outcome, I'd be very interested and fascinated to debate it.
I don't think it has. I do think it was anticipated that it might, but it hasn't really. So.
Okay. Good morning, Greg. I'm not into elections, but I did vote and really enjoyed your coverage yesterday. Fair play to all the Highland Radio team for updates. Thank you, Donna Marie, for having that inquisitive mind. I sat yesterday listening to the results and not understanding the transfer of votes. Asked a few people who could not explain. And we tried to mention it, but people are tuning in all the time, and it's difficult to cover it all of the time. Caller says there's no point in having a website for people with disabilities if there are no people to meet the needs of disabilities. There are not enough people, but there are services there. And Listen Joy knows that area inside out, as I'm sure the texter does. But we, unless we sort of can aggregate what we have, where the gaps are, how can we sort of continue to campaign for improved services? Hi, Greg. Can you check that it's actually true that the first two candidates in the Nishon were eliminated separately? I was parroting that, but we certainly can check that. Can our newly elected councillors give an accurate update on the 29 houses in Carndonagh that have been sitting finished for over 2 years? It's a total disgrace. We covered that extensively during our debates. I just can't pull the exact information out of my head at the moment in relation to that. Greg, regarding the voting system, if a candidate is knocked out, shall we say on the fourth count, when their votes are then distributed, is it the second preference votes in the ballot paper that are then counted? I hope I'm not confusing the issue. I know that if you want to make your vote count, it's better to vote 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. But I'm not 100% sure of how it all works. Well, it's if the second vote would be looked at if that person is already elected, then it would go to the third post, and if that person's already elected, it would go to the fourth. And then it would be counted. To answer your question, they only use on the first count surplus following transfers. They lift the last received transfers on the last count. Okay, thank you for that. I'm always interested in local elections, says a caller, and listened to Highland Radio all day yesterday. It was a great report. Fair play to you all. It made great listening, and the odd bit of banter helped. Thank you. Good stuff. Life can be tough enough without taking everything too seriously. There are some familiar faces turned up here as well. We've got independent Michael McBride. I can see Donald Mandy Kelly here. Actually, do you know what? I'll throw the camera over here for those of you who are watching, by the way. And I know most of you are listening, but for those that you are watching, actually, I don't have that camera on that stand. It's fine. It doesn't matter. I'll sort that in a second. Thanks, Joe. But there are people scrutinising the votes here. They're trying to find 5 effectively. Do you know what? It'll be fascinating if that gap of 5 is closed to see what the ramifications might be. Okay, it is the 9 till noon show, and we're going to be back with more after these.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Where will this summer take you? Whether it's a family road trip or a well-deserved weekend adventure, a new Ford can take you there. The Ford Summer Sales Event runs from the 7th to the 18th of June. Experience the new Kuga and new Puma models ready for 242, along with offers across the range, including up to €4,500 off the adventure-ready new Kuga. Book an appointment for the Summer Sales Event on Ford.ie. T's and C's apply. Ford. Bring on tomorrow.
The sun's splitting the stones, so you bang on the barbecue.
2 minutes later.
There's great drying out, so you hang out the washing to save some lecky.
2 minutes later.
There's There's no controlling the Irish summer, but you can control your energy costs thanks to hourly insights from Prepay Power. Switch now and enjoy our €100 welcome bonus. That will brighten up your day. Prepay Power. Be energy wise. Available for a limited time only. For T-Season rates, see prepaypower.ie.
At Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Revolutionise your style at Evolve Clothing Letterkenny Retail Park. Open 7 days, 2 floors of menswear featuring your favourite brands. Shop in store or online at evolveclothing.com. Your ultimate menswear superstore.
For new perspectives and a fresh vision, join me, Greg Hughes, on the 9 till noon show every Thursday at 10:15 for your voice, your community.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. Support local at McElhinney's. With 53 years experience in fashion, beauty and home, we're here for you. Plus, enjoy M-Card rewards when you shop in-store at McElhinney's Ballybuffet.
So we have scattered showers with a few isolated showers this morning, but sunny spells will develop later as the showers die out. Rather cool this afternoon in a northerly breeze with highest temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees. And our next guest on the programme is Glenda McGinty. Good morning, Glenda. How are you?
Good morning, Greg. I'm great. Thanks very much.
And yours is a remarkable story, and a story I'm sure will, and I'm sure you hope will, inspire others. And it really is your fitness journey, and it is almost from zero to hero, isn't it? You have... You completed this year's London Marathon, but you know there's a lot of there's a big story before you got to that fantastic milestone. Talk to me about it.
Yes, I was at my heaviest. I was 20 stone, and I got the place for the marathon. As you know, well, this year there's 830 odd people applied for it. You know yourself, you apply, you don't think you're going to get it, but I did. I got my place for charity. So I was like, right, I better do something about this. I better start losing a bit of weight. And it was just that marathon place that really just gave me that kick up the bum to go and get it done.
Wow. So so at your heaviest then, and everyone has different mobility issues. Some people can carry quite a bit of weight and they're perfectly mobile, don't get me wrong. But you framed it yourself that you had your place for the marathon secured. And at that point, you would have struggled to run for a minute.
Oh, definitely. I couldn't. This time last year, I couldn't have done 30 seconds. That was me. I was busted. That was enough. So it really was a big challenge to go from literally 30 seconds to doing 26 miles.
The question is I mean, I
yes.
beg your pardon, sorry. There's two stories here, obviously. There's the weight loss, but also the increase in fitness and resilience and endurance as well. I presume they're part of the same story. Can you talk us through that?
Yes. Well, I'm obviously being a Donegal, we are thick and throwing. So it's like if you tell me that I can't do something or I won't be able to do it, then that's when that kicks in. And I was stubborn. I was really stubborn, and I knew that I had to keep going. And when people think you're not going to be able to do it, that's when you really want to do even more. So I just went out and did those 30 seconds, maybe walked, then for a couple of minutes, tried another 30 seconds. And then eventually I was able to run a mile. And you know what, that first mile for a lot of people is nothing, but for me that was massive. That was a major big milestone, just to be able to run a full solid mile. Now it might have took me maybe 12 13 minutes, but it was just, and then I just kept going, and next thing it was 3 miles, next thing I could run 10 miles, and next thing I knew I was ready to do that London Marathon. I was able to do the 26 miles, and to go from nothing to do the 26, and even just the tears when I crossed that finish line. It's just having that belief in yourself that you could do it. Because there's many a time I wanted to give up, but I just kept going. Because it was for charity as well, which was Alzheimer's. And obviously was very important to me, because my granny battled with Alzheimer's before she passed away. And it was an amazing charity, so I didn't want to let them down. I didn't want to let my granny down, and I certainly wasn't going to let myself down.
Yeah, and as you say, that's the motivation, and then of course, then the Donegal Tranness to fall back on as well. Was this a return to a level of fitness you ever had, or are you now as fit as you've ever been, Glenda?
This is definitely as fit as I've ever been, but it was a few years ago that I actually climbed Everest Base Camp, and that was for Alzheimer's and for my granny as well. But when I came back from that, I just totally lost focus. There was nothing. And that's when then I wanted to try the marathon to try and get me back to that level of fitness that I was at. But I'm definitely, I've never been as fit as this. This is definitely the fittest I've ever been. And I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. Because years ago, I couldn't even climb a flight of stairs, never mind try and go out and run. So
now, what you've achieved as well too, like they say, if you just start going to the gym, have a word with your GP first. You know what I mean? It depends on your age or the weight you're carrying or what have you. So I presume you had to make sure that you were doing this safely, weren't you? Because you don't want to do something that's going to disadvantage your health. To go from over 20 stone to running a marathon, you need, I presume, some medical support there in terms of making sure you're doing things correctly and not overdoing it, etc.
Exactly. When I first started, I went to the gym and I got myself a personal trainer. So they were able to keep me on the right track and tell me what I should be eating, what I should be doing. And, I'm always grateful to that PT, Catherine. Whenever I first met her, she was just amazing. And she really she believed in me. For the first time, somebody actually believed. And I kept showing up. And she just, for someone to believe in you, because for years you think you're not good enough and you can't do this. And for someone just to say, you can do it. It just makes all that difference to someone believing in you, and it's amazing. But that's what I did. I went to the gym and got myself a personal trainer, and it was them that helped me. And then a few years ago, I did actually go and train as a personal trainer. So I've actually got that qualification this time behind me. So when I went out running, I sort of knew what I was doing. I kind of trained myself to run, but I kind of knew what I was doing this time around.
Right, and a bus. You're still a bus driver by trade, are you? Or are you going to now use this as okay.
That's my main job. That's me.
And one final question, I suppose people listening, Glenda McGinty, they might say, well, I can't do what Glenda's doing, so there's no point me doing anything. And I think really what the message is that set your own goals, isn't it? And achieve what you want to achieve. For you, it was massive, right? But for others, it could be that first mile that meant so much to you. It doesn't matter. It's not comparing yourself to others. It's setting your own goals and going out of your way to achieve it.
Exactly. It's definitely setting your own. For me, at the start, it was just making those wee tiny changes. As you say, going from 30 seconds to even a mile, even 2 miles, or even just going for a walk, just changing a bit of your diet. It's about the small changes. As I say, everybody's different. Not everybody's maybe as thick and thin as me, but definitely everybody's different. Just set your own wee goals. At the start, for me, it was just small changes. It was literally going for a walk, just changing a couple of things in my diet. That's all, and then eventually that will lead to the bigger changes.
And finally, do you find yourself, bumping into people and go, "Hiya, John. Hiya, Kate." Not obviously very, very close friends, but maybe old school friends or people you haven't spoken for a year, and they look at you as if to say, "Who's this doll?" Do you find that people don't recognise you, such as your transformation?
Oh, definitely. There's a lot of people that just walk past me, and then they're like, "Oh, I didn't even recognise you. My goodness." But it's good. It's good to think that I have changed that much. But as I say, to go from 20 stone to lose 12 stone, all just through diet and exercise, it's just, I'm a whole different person, and I'm loving the new person. Whereas the old person, I didn't like her.
Brilliant.
I didn't like who I was now.
Yeah.
I'm so much happier.
And I'm loving you loving that, because it's lovely to hear, and continued health and happiness from Donegal Town, of course, but now living outside Derry. A bus driver by trade. Thank you so much, Glenda. Well done to you. Really appreciate your time today. Welcome. Take care. Glenda McGinty there. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. Give us a call at 07491 25,000. You are tuned to the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio, and we're broadcasting live from the Aura Leisure Centre. We're going to take the news headlines shortly, and then we're going to come back. We're going to have a chat to Trudy, find out what's going on, and keep you updated with what's happening here. Listen, we have pretty much all of the seats. Is it 30 30 seats we have filled at this stage, so it's just the 7. And in fairness, we have another 6 of those filled here in the Letterkenny area. We're down to 1. It's about 5 votes. There was a difference between 5 votes between Mary T. Sweeney and another candidate. That would determine the order in which people would be eliminated from the election. That could have a determination on who gets the last seat in the Letterkenny electoral area, so you can understand the importance of this. Apparently 5 votes was the difference. They've already found one that narrows that to 4.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
The Buncrana Golf Club development draw is here, with over €40,000 in prizes up for grabs. The grand prize is a stunning Hyundai i30 N-Line, plus 4 other fantastic prizes worth over €10,000. Tickets are available online at driveathomedraw.ie or from any club member. Don't miss your chance to win big and support Buncrana Golf Club. Get your tickets today.
Charge into summer with TUI. Secure your holiday today with savings for families and adults flying from Dublin, Cork and Shannon. Holiday sorted. TUI. Live happy.
Make Father's Day simply better and celebrate Dad with a feast. Fire up the barbecue for chicken wings, Irish Angus beef burgers and award-winning Irish Angus steaks. Or choose from a delicious range of antipasti favourites. Save 20% on Simply Better wines from around the world and finish with a selection of Italian-made gelato. Plus, you can save at the till with a 10 off 50 grocery voucher. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next grocery shop of €50 or more. Voucher excludes alcohol. Please drink sensibly.
Happy Father's Day.
This Father's Day, choose Dior, Paco Rabanne, Yves Saint Laurent, Jimmy Choo, Lacoste. Choose McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. Great gifts for great dads. Click mcgees.ie.
We love you, Dad.
Planning on renovating your garden this summer? Then look no further than Dealside Garden Furniture. With a full range of sizes in garden sheds, summer houses, playhouses, outdoor canopies, fencing and much more. Now available to view and buy on dealsidegardenfurniture.ie. Dealside Garden Furniture Lifford. Made to measure and one-off designs are our speciality.
Coming this year to Dublin for the very first time. 71 shows completely sold out. Hamilton at the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre. Experience the revolutionary musical that's taken the world by storm. Witness history come alive with electrifying performances and unforgettable music with a modern twist. Book your place now on the outlet at highlandradio.com or call us on 074 91 25,000.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock. You are tuned to the... You're tuned to the 9 till noon show. Thanks so much. It's 11 o'clock. You're tuned to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Another hour to come, live from the Oral Leisure Centre. But first, let's get a news update, and it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you very much indeed, Greg. Good morning. The Special Needs Parents Network in Donegal has formally launched a new website to mark the start of Carers Week. The snpndonegal.com website features resources for parents and also details of accessible facilities across the county. A spokesperson told Greg on the show a short time ago that as well as offering supports to local people and their families, the site has the potential to highlight Donegal's suitability as a holiday destination for people with special needs all over the country. A woman has been killed in a road collision in County Meath. She was the sole occupant of a car which crashed on the main street in Ratoath at around 1 o'clock this morning. The woman, aged in her 60s, was pronounced dead at the scene. Her body has been moved to the mortuary at Our Lady's Hospital in Navan, where a post-mortem examination will be carried out. Main Street in Ratoath is currently closed to traffic and diversions are in place. Meanwhile, in the early hours of Sunday morning, 25-year-old pedestrian Jimmy McKenna died in a collision outside Moville. Counting is continuing in the European and local elections around the country. In Donegal, a recount is underway, as you've been hearing from Greg, at the Oral Leisure Centre in Letterkenny. In Donegal, the 100% Redress party is set to become the third largest party in Donegal County Council with 4 seats, one more than Fine Gael. That recount in Letterkenny means the declaration of the result there is delayed, but the 4th seat for 100% Redress is certain in Letterkenny. The party's PRO and newly elected councillor Ali Farren says it's a result that can't be ignored, and he told Highland Radio their eyes are now firmly on the next general election. Counting in Europe is underway as well. A first count in the Midlands North West constituency is expected sometime around 6 o'clock this evening. Candidates and their agents have been examining ballot papers that may be spoiled in the centre in Castlebar this morning. The candidates in the running for seats at the moment appear to be Barry Cowan, Luke Ming-Flanagan, Maria Walsh and Kieran Mullooly of the Independent Ireland Party. The Sinn Féin outgoing MEP Chris McManus is struggling according to some tallies, but the tallies for that constituency are very incomplete, and a clearer picture won't really emerge until we get that first count in Midlands North West at 6 o'clock this evening. Meanwhile, in France, the rise of the far-right party led by Marine Le Pen has been so strong that the Prime Minister Macron has called a snap general election that's to take place in the coming weeks. He told the people of France he believes they are good people and he wants them to give him the mandate that he needs and to reject the far right. Simon Harris said this morning that he is glad that populism hasn't taken hold in Ireland as much as it has elsewhere. He ruled out an early election when asked about it by reporters. So the headlines, we're back with headlines again at 12 noon, but for now, from the news team, have a very good morning.
Calling all bread enthusiasts, get ready to knead, bake and rise to the challenge with the launch of Rise with Aldi's new bread baking competition. This year's winner will pocket €15,000 and get to sell their prize loaf in Aldi stores for a whole year. Visit aldi.ie/rise with Aldi for details on drop-off points at selected Aldi stores. Not trying to butter you up, but we know you can do it. Go all Aldi. T's and C's apply. Visit aldi.ie/rise with Aldi for details.
You're welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Now, personally, and I'm sure many people were genuinely very moved and saddened by the awful sad news that emerged over the weekend, and that was the death of a young man tragically killed in a road collision in Moville. James Jimmy McKenna, 25, died after he was struck by a car at Ballynally near Moville at 1:30 a.m. on Sunday morning and was pronounced dead at the scene. I would know Michelle McKenna, and obviously Jimmy had a brother, JP, sisters Catherine and Caroline, and his wider family circle, but it's also the whole community. The ripples of such a tragedy go beyond the community, and I can tell you they were felt where I was, and my thoughts very much with Michelle and the rest of the family, and a wonderful, beautiful family. Father Francis Bradley is a parish priest in Buncrana. Father Bradley, thank you for your time, and I wish we were talking about anything else other than this. Such terrible, sad news for the family, friends, the community, all of us, really.
It is indeed, Greg. Just the eternal return of sad news from our roads, particularly for so many families in this area, going back over the years. And in fact, it was the second time that poor Jimmy was involved in a serious road traffic collision, and he narrowly escaped the first 7 years ago on a bank holiday weekend at the end of April 7 years ago. And but the news was all the sadder still for his family this time when the sad incident took place in the early hours of yesterday morning. Yeah.
Father Bradley, you know, words fail us in moments like this. I suppose it's a physical and a communal embrace, and to be there for the family and friends as this news begins to really, you know, land home, because it seems unreal.
Sure. Well, I don't know if the word unreal applies. Unfortunately, it becomes all too real, and the enormity of their loss begins to come home to them, much as Jimmy's own body will come home, please God, later today. And step by step, you know, they have to confront the sad reality of Jimmy's death. That it's very sudden, it's very final, and Jimmy was a fun-loving 25-year-old, could we say, and he seems to have enjoyed life to the full. He was spoilt rotten by his parents. He lived here with his father, James, in Logan Close here in Buncrana, and all the family, Michelle and James and John Paul and Catherine and Caroline, are all just heartbroken. And he lived for his family in so many ways. He never really liked being too far away from home. He took an odd notion of going away somewhere, but sometimes wouldn't even stay as long as he had intended to stay. He so loved getting home again. So a homecoming today will be different, and it's immensely sad, but thankfully there are great people in the community who gather around families at this time, and they help to shoulder the burden. But in the end, that burden has to be shouldered by the family themselves, and they will miss him immensely.
Father Francis Bradley, thank you very much for your time this morning. I do appreciate it. Take care of yourself as well, Father Bradley. Thank you. That's Father Francis Bradley there, parish priest in Buncrana, talking following the very sad passing of Jimmy McKenna, just 25 years of age. And our thoughts and prayers genuinely are with James and Michelle, his loving parents, brother JP, sisters Catherine and Caroline, and his wider family circle, and the wider community as well. Incredibly sad altogether. Right, okay, rather than just fleet straight to the next topic, I'm going to take a really short break, and we'll be back with more from Letterkenny in a few moments.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Le nísmó ná míle seirbhís ó Horace go doras nascáúil TFI fud na tíre, má táú an mealach dor cuid tá míad slí. Chun úsáid a bhaintas an teirvís, ní le déanamh ach áirithananta dhéanamh an lásol a destíonúid testa le diffig nascáúil TFI. Túrcuairt transportforireland.ie is sinne Transport for Ireland is muid umpar dit.
Discover the ultimate gastropub experience at Sister Sarah's in Letterkenny. Treat yourself to their irresistible menu featuring grill night on Thursdays and Sarah's all-new barbecue Fridays. Plus, enjoy live sports daily, live music on weekends and private function rooms for your special occasions. Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love from Wednesday through to Sunday.
Here at Kelly Cleaning Equipment, we have everything you need to clean your home, garden and business. As an official Gold Plus cashier dealer, we offer brand-leading domestic and commercial pressure washers, vacuum cleaners, floor scrubbers, steam cleaners, carpet cleaners and much more. Come and see us at Eurohouse, Killybegs Road, Donegal Town, or online at kellycleaningequipment.ie. And for a limited time only, claim up to €150 cashback when purchasing a cashier professional pressure washer. Kelly Cleaning Equipment. Choose cashier.
Discover the magic of Crinnean and Og in Donegal on June 15th. Join us for a day of creativity and fun for children and young people 18 and under. Don't miss out on these fantastic, free family events, plus dedicated events for 14 to 18-year-olds. Visit waynefest.ie for more information.
Join Boys Travel for an unforgettable trip to Blackpool this September. Or how about Disneyland Paris next Easter? For details on these and many more trips, visit Boys Tours on Facebook or call 9151043.
Come and enjoy an epic afternoon in Derry for the Carnival of Bands on Derry's Walls for Molly's Parade, followed by the colourful immersive sound of 200 musicians performing Siren Circus in Ebrington Square around a ginormous size Molly bed sculpture. Don't miss two unforgettable experiences of a lifetime on Sunday, June 16th. Yes, it's all free and family friendly. Visit yesderry.com for more information.
Right, we are back in Letterkenny at the Aurora Leisure Centre, and the reason we're still here is because there is a recount ongoing. Just to let you know, yesterday in Letterkenny, Donald Mandy Kelly top to the poll, Thomas Sean Devine of the 100% Redress Party elected, Jerry McMonigal, Kieran Brogan, Jimmy Kavanagh, Michael McBride and Donald Coyle anticipated to be taking that last seat. Now, that being said, we were on the cusp of announcement of a count at about an elimination, and it was going to be Mary T. Sweeney to be eliminated. Now, barring a statistical miracle almost, that wouldn't have helped Kevin Bradley. That would have concreted Donald Coyle as the last recipient the recipient of the last seat. But only 5 votes separated Mary T. Sweeney and Kevin Bradley. Now, that means that if Kevin Bradley was eliminated first, it may well have, or may not have, but it may have given Mary T. Sweeney the lift to overtake Donald Coyle and for her to take the final seat. So as you can imagine there, the stakes are really high. And with only 5 votes down to it, my understanding is Mary T. Sweeney was going to let the process continue, but her supporter says, hello Mary T, there's only 5 votes in this. Then Padder Tobin, the leader of Ain't to, made contact with the centre, and at that point then it became clear that we were going to go down the recount route. Trudy O'Donnell is with me to sort of help me make sense of this. Trudy, obviously very involved in this process over the last couple of days and knows exactly what's happening in terms of scrutinising and all that type of stuff. Well, we know most of what's happening, I think. So, Trudy, the last time we spoke to you, a vote had been found that could be attributed to Mary T. Sweeney. So that's...
Well, actually, yeah, the vote actually was attributed to Thomas Devine. But
I beg your pardon.
Yeah, it came out of Bradley, which then does, though, it closes that gap. So it's taken 1 vote off Bradley's first count vote. So
okay, so that closes the gap till 4. Anything happened since?
Nothing has happened officially as of yet, but Mary T is not leaving any stone unturned. So she is scrutinising a few ballot papers over there, and I think one of the ones she was looking at, actually, it was a Kieran Brogan number 1, and the number 2 she was stating looked like the number 8 as well. So it looked... she just wasn't happy with the ballot paper, and I think it didn't affect her directly whatsoever, but her question on it was that, is that being accepted across the board? So she was kind of scrutinising that in a sense. So directly it didn't affect her, but otherwise it, I suppose across the board she was looking at, is that acceptable? And the other thing then, another one of Kieran Brogan's number 1 preferences, Ben had 2 number 2s. So she was just looking at that ballot paper, but that hasn't affected anything as of yet because Kieran Brogan wasn't deemed elected or eliminated. So at that stage, it doesn't affect. Once it goes to the number 2, then it will go into the non-transferable ballot because it's non-transferable because the 2 number 2s at that stage then come into effect. So.
Okay, brilliant. So that's pretty much where we're at the moment.
That's where we're at the minute, yes.
Okay, thank you very much,
You're very
Trudy. And it is a process that is going to be ongoing. I'm going to ask all of you to move up 1 seat, if that's okay. It's a process that is going to be ongoing, and we're going to go off air at 12. We anticipate maybe there might be a little bit of movement. In 2 or 3 hours, so we'll stay with you on that in that regard. Why can't voting be done online? Surely there's a system in this day and age that lets you prove you're over 18 and born in Ireland. That's not one of the criteria, by the way, to vote. Surely more people would vote sitting at home rather than going down the road to vote. Well done to all at Highland Radio for the brilliant election coverage. Watched the stream nearly all day yesterday. Great coverage. That's from John Joseph McFadden in Falcarra. Greg is incorrect in relation to vote transfers. If a candidate is eliminated and his number 2 is for someone who's already elected, that vote then becomes a non-transferable vote. That was an omittance rather than an inaccuracy, I think. I have to say I really liked the way Trudy covered the elections and was able to answer questions in a straightforward way with clear, understandable language. Well done, Trudy and Highland. Well done, Greg, and to all the team at Highland Radio for their outstanding coverage of the local elections as the last few days from Tom McBurty. Thanks, Tom. Well done, Highland, and all your team on results of elections. I enjoyed the coverage. It's great to get that feedback. I appreciate it. So as Greg said, if voting form is not punched, then it's not valid. Surely then one shouldn't receive a form unless it's punched. That's what Trudy said. Trudy said, listen, there's a couple of players in the process. There is the those in the polling centres and what have you, but there's also you, the electorate, to ensure that it's punched before you vote. There's a big difference between someone who's living permanently in the country and someone who's in temporary protection. That is the difference. That is vital. That is the differentiated in terms of local elections. Or general. I've counted general elections for over 30 years now. tell Trudy I've seen a preference of 16 electing a candidate. That is the beauty of proportional representation. Right, okay. Now, as part of Monday Focus, we talked to a number of guests here. Hugh Friel of the Donegal Travellers Project. Hugh, good to see you again. How are you keeping?
Hi, Greg. How are you?
Good. Now you can adjust that mic just to make sure it's as close to you as possible. We also have in our makeshift studio here Gary Glennon from the LYFS. Good morning, Gary.
Morning, Greg.
Sorry, well, there you are, okay.
Morning,
and also Christopher Brogan of the Donegal Men's Health Network. Good morning to you, Christopher.
Good morning to you, Greg.
Thanks so much for calling in. All right, okay. We're talking about a health event called All Men Are Equal. It's taking place this Wednesday in the Letterkenny Community Centre. Can I start with you, Gary? Talk to me a little bit about this event.
Yeah, well, this event's actually part of a bigger national programme of Men's Health Week, which started on Friday last week there. And I suppose, the Donegal Men's Health Network established there through the Connecting for Life programme funding. We've been trying, to engage men around about their health because it's been quite challenging, and being men ourselves, we understand, that sometimes we have reluctance, in talking about our health, because there's so many things out there, about manning up and stuff like that there, these unhelpful terms. I must say, that big boys don't cry and stuff like that there. So this event's just about raising awareness, in a kind of fun kind of way. We've engaged with a number of service providers and community practitioners, to come along and to make it that way. I'm afraid you can see from the poster there, Greg, there's a number of different bits and pieces, so we have some health talks. We've got Bill Vaughan from Mental Health Highland is going to do a bit of talk about stress management. We've got Dawn coming from Health Promotion Improvement. She's going to talk about smoking cessation. Obviously, a huge killer of men and women in the country and across the world. And then Hugh himself is going to talk a wee bit about culturalism. So the event's at 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock on Wednesday at the Letterkenny Community Centre.
And I think really the big step in the right direction for people is actually get along to this event and then have a listen, have a look around. If you fancy a free health trek, all well and good, but you ain't going to get that sitting at home. So the first thing is get your backside along to it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I suppose, Greg, that I must answer that. Many years ago, Hugh and myself organised a seminar about getting people to engage with men. And people may say, well, why would you do that? Because men become a target group. They are for the Connecting for Life strategy in terms of suicide, in terms of the high rates of suicide. So we did, some time ago, maybe 6-7 years ago, we did an event which was about getting out from behind the desk. And that was really about the practitioners themselves, the people in the statutory and the community voluntary sector, getting out there and then trying to engage with men. As you see yourself, if you're at home and you're lonely, and I mean, even you think about it, Greg, just there recently I came across a statistic that over 20% of men feel lonely in this country. Healthy Island survey last year. I mean, that's at 1 in 5.
Yeah.
So connecting with people is really, really, really important.
I've spoken to people that have attended events like this, and the one that springs to mind, she was actually was a woman, but went to one of these events, had the blood pressure checked, and she was a walking, ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
Went to the GP, got a tablet. Grand. Now, that's not the solution for everyone, but that was it. Like she hadn't checked the blood pressure, and it was one of those ones that it was off the charts. It's like, right, okay, you are at risk. You're walking around at risk of stroke or an aneurysm or something like that there. And as I say, it's nothing to be afraid of because it's one of those silent killers that is actually eminently treatable. Hugh, from the Donegal Travellers Project, I mean, we're all part of the one community, but are there particular challenges for men in the traveller community in terms of monitoring and looking after their own health, be it physical and particularly mental? Because we do know, unfortunately, there's a higher instances of poor mental health in the traveller community amongst men.
Certainly, Craig, yeah, and I think there's social barriers to traveller men accessing different services and accessing different venues in relation to your health, and a lot of people can't understand that, a lot of traveller men can't go to a cafe to socialise, can't go to a pub to socialise, can't go to open venues like to socialise.
When you say they can't, they feel they can't, or they actually can't?
They're actually, a lot of men traveller men be discriminated on the basis of they go into a venue that they're targeted in relation to the they think that they're going to cause antisocial behaviour, or they're going to cause a handling, even say in cafe settings. So of 10 or 15 men, even for the Roma community now, and the Roma health coordinator now for Sligo, Leitrim, Donegal, the Roma community feel the exact same in relation to it. And there is statistics there and facts that this actually happens, because a lot of members of the traveller community have taken case against venues in relation to this.
But then also too, for those that it doesn't, we don't know, because then the perception, the reality obviously is there, but then the perception becomes a reality. So it's just an instant. Well, that's not a place for us, or we're not welcome there, or that will be our experience.
And I think that's what we're trying to bring around. Where like all men are equal, and as Gary said, we've worked tirelessly over the years, engaging men and hard to reach men. We call them, some people say hard to reach. We don't actually call any man hard to reach. It's getting outside behind your desk, making the effort to get that person to participate in the venue. And this all men's are equal is around, as you said, Greg, like I've run a number of venues, blood pressure checks with men, and it's amazing how many men have high blood pressure. And I feel healthy, you feel great, you participate in the football, but actually you're a walking time bomb and you don't know it. So
I know people too, I got a blood pressure monitor, and people call around to the house and you say, come on, we'll stick it on for the crack. Nope. Nope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, but we're all scared.
Well, why not? I understand why not, because I am very afraid of that stuff, right?
But
so I do understand.
I'm afraid, like Gary would be afraid, Christopher afraid. Men in general are afraid, but won't speak out and say they're actually afraid. I'm afraid of what the doctor might say to me. I'm actually scared to think that I might have high blood pressure. I'm scared to think that I might have an underlying health issue. That's me.
Yeah.
And I promote well-being, health, and referring people to GPs' body system in terms of health promotion. But me personally, as a man, I'm actually scared to think
of course.
of
I sit here doing all these interviews about awareness this and awareness of that, and then I ignore it. I don't ignore it myself, but it's a challenge for me, right? Even going to the dentist, I didn't go to the dentist for 6 years because I thought they were going to figure out I had mouth cancer or something. You know what I mean? I've been through all of this myself, and I know it sounds ridiculous, okay? And there's nothing to trigger that, but that's the way it is. This is the truth, okay? There's no point me sitting here and saying otherwise. I can't tell you why my mind works like that, but I can tell you that it does work like that. I'm getting better, actually.
Well, I think
I'm getting better at overcoming stuff like that there. But that is the reality. The optician, I didn't go to the optician for 7 years because I had floaters and I thought it was going to be something very, very serious. As it turns out, it wasn't, right? But, I think I'm pretty normal. Some would say I'm not, right? But I think I am, and this is the way, and I hate to generalise, but generally speaking, women are, right, I'm feeling a bit tired today. I think I need to go and get my bloods tested. And I'm like, wow, it took me 6 years to figure that one out. Yeah. Right, okay, we'll hop in and out, of course, as part of the conversation, but I don't want to delay saying hello to Christopher Brogan of the Donegal Men's Health Network. Christopher, great to be involved in this. What is the role of the network?
I think it was just when I came on at the start, Gary got me involved at the start. It's just about getting all men out there. Just what you were saying about the doctors. Even men go to the doctors, they're scared to even tell the doctor what's wrong with them. So it's just about getting them out there to this event and showing them that there's loads of providers for all different problems that they're struggling with and that they can get help. It's just about making that first step and going there. And it's one of the hardest things to do. Myself, I struggled with it myself. But now, by doing that, I got better and better. You have to give it a chance. Even though sometimes it's a longer period to see a doctor, you have to give it a chance.
See, I'm brilliant at dealing with reality. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm the go-to guy. If you've got a crisis, come to me. I'll back you up. You know what I'm on about, right? But see, the anticipation of something. Forget that. Go somewhere else. All right.
See, in the sense of the doctor's thing is, when you see a doctor and you think you go in and you explain, you're like, Jesus, that was a relief. But then you don't get another appointment for another month and a half, 2 months, and you have to go back in and explain that to a different doctor, and then a different doctor. No, you're not moving forward. So you say, do you know what? I'm done. I tried. I'm not doing it anymore. But you got to keep that dedication and keep going.
Yeah. One of the last times it was the doctor. I went for an ECG because I was getting palpitations or something. Delayed that forever. ECG went on. And it was sort of like, I can't remember the phraseology, but it was like as if I was having a heart attack, right? Jeez. And she turned to me and she says, all right, actually your ECG's not too bad. My heart rate went from 140 right down to 85. And then she did the ECG, right? So then she says,
"You're fine now."
Do you know what I mean? Like
100%.
60 beats per second. Well, 55 beats per second in one sentence. The power of the mind. We can use it for so much good, but it can work against us too, can't it?
Yeah. Certainly can, Greg. And I think it's embedded in us as men. We're told, get up. If you cry, you fall as a young boy, get up, stop crying. It's embedded in Irish society, especially as fathers as well. You can hear the repeat of, get up, don't be crying. What are you crying for? And I think that mentality has embedded us as men from a very young age, that we're told not to cry, not to engage and kind of.
And we can still be the broad shoulders.
Of course you can. Of course, this is the thing, Greg.
Yeah, you don't have to sacrifice yourself, right?
No.
But you just have to recognise that there's a spectrum there. And you have to understand.
You can still be a man, but if you're having problems, I would never worry. Where I'm at this moment, I would never worry about what people think about me being upset or being this, because I know I'm moving forward with dealing with my problems. There's nothing wrong with that at all. That's normal. I think it would be more crazy if you weren't upset about things that's really going on in your life. And you're struggling. I think it would be worse that you're not.
But if I
feeling how you really want to feel,
if I squared up to you, we could still have a go.
You can still throw hands. Every man can throw hands. Every man can throw hands. You know what I mean? Every man can throw hands. Like,
I think that's over there.
Can I just come in there?
And then afterwards and say. But we can still talk about our emotions afterwards.
Of course, why not? If you're trying to deal with things, then why not talk about them?
I know. Gary, sorry.
No. Thanks, Greg. No, it's just something that Christopher said. It reminded me of what you were saying last week. And probably this week. In the show about in terms of people doing exams.
Yeah.
Don't look at other people. Look at who you are.
Yeah.
And and be proud of yourself and what you can do. And that's what Chris was saying. I think it'd be remiss, if we don't mention, Greg, here that a couple of the groups that's involved in the Donegal Men's Health Network, if that's okay. And I have a list of them here just in case I missed anyone out. But we've got Moville and District Family Resource Centre, the DLDC's Men's Shed Project, Donegal Travellers Project here, obviously, Mental Health Island, Jigsaw, the Intercultural Platform, Donegal Sports Partnership, and ourselves at Lives. And
that's not complicated. That just means that everyone's involved.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. And if anybody feels that they could have a part to play in raising awareness about men's health in Donegal, please get in touch. And again, taking this opportunity to thank Christopher and also another young man, Stephen Mongan, who came on to the group very early, because you mentioned about keeping it real. Because we had this idea as service providers, and being in the work for maybe 20 odd years, we knew it all, and we thought we'd got it sussed. These two guys came in and flipped it in its head.
Yeah,
Christopher and Stephen kind of said to us, we did this plan of doing 4 events for all men and blah, 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 and the two guys turn in and says, what about the services? Are they ready? Are they ready for men? So I really take this opportunity to thank Christopher and Stephen for that.
Thanks, Gary.
Yeah, and indeed. So, obviously there's the health checks that are there, talking about how you can manage your stress. If you want to go off the smokes, it can be tough to do that on your own. Interculturalism, information stands, haircuts.
You'll be first in the second.
I'll get mine done, Greg. I'll get mine done.
What a polish, Greg.
I think it's just if we were here, there'd be a queue of one. And that'd be our friend Christopher here. Walking football, basketball shoots, traditional games, crossbar challenge, archery. There's something for everyone there. It's on Wednesday, the 12th of June, between 12 and 3 p.m. And don't identify with you, or am I this? Do I fall into the multiculturalism? Do I fall into an ethnicity? Do I fall into... Just go along, like. It's
everybody's welcome.
Well, our key message was around that, and I think there's a lot of narrative around migrants and asylum seekers and different ethnic groups, and I think that we seen it as from the network's point of view that all men are equal. So come along. It doesn't matter, of your ethnicity, of what's happening. Come along, get involved. You're more than welcome. There's a team of people there to welcome you as well, and I think that's the key message. Because
I think sometimes when we talk
about not exclusion,
exactly, and sometimes I think when we talk about loads of different groups, right? Accidentally, sometimes I think for some people it might sound like it's just for those groups, but what it is to say is it's for everybody. But there are particular challenges for particular groups, and they require a particular mention to make sure that they feel welcome and there. Isn't that it? Really?
But Greg, I would just say, just see on that there poster, the reason we were able to come up with that was through the first event that we ran for the providers. We got them to give us back information and stuff like that, and as Gary said, it was turned on its head straight away. We knew which way we wanted to try and go with this, and that's why we're here now today, is to try and get that point across to as many young men, older men, whatever, as we can, that everybody's welcome, no matter what.
There's a lot of noise out there, Christopher. When you get together with the group of lads from all different backgrounds, it doesn't really matter what it is what's it like? Because you would get the impression that we all hate each other. We don't work together. We don't mix. We don't want some people here. We don't want other people's there. We don't want someone next door to us. So what is the lived reality when you get all different people in an urban area and pulling in from rural areas from different backgrounds and just hanging out?
Right,
What's it like?
For me, it's brilliant. I come from a coaching background. I was a coach there for 6 years. I've done kayaking, so I worked with hundreds of groups, all different ethnicities, backgrounds, everything. So when I'm part of these groups, it's easy to get involved with them. It just comes naturally to me. That sometimes you slow things down, you deal with different people. But for me, I can walk in and have a group ready to go for, give me 10 minutes. That's the kind of way that I like to be with groups. Be involved with them. Everybody's included. Nobody's excluded. That's the way we do it.
Can I just add there, Greg? Sorry, and what Christopher says there. We've a group there. It's just a football group, and I suppose it's for everyone. A Tuesday morning for men, and there's about 28 guys who turn up every week. Now we've got guys from all ethnicities there, but we've also got people with disabilities and intellectual disabilities. And I think sometimes we kind of miss a wee bit there. We think they're getting looked after. Somebody's looking after those guys, and they're not. You know what I mean? So we certainly a focus for us would be in the Men's Health Network and us part of lives is to make sure that everybody is included. Because I say, for a lot of the time now, you think, somebody, a wheelchair user, well, somebody's going to be looking after them. Really? Still a man.
And these boys are as good footballers, just as good as any of the rest of us. So we don't exclude nobody. Everybody's allowed in, and they're brilliant.
Doesn't matter.
It does not matter.
And I mean, we're talking about men's health here, and obviously it's for men or women. But at the end of the day, these conversations have to land as well, and it's very important that fellas, who, if they are the 20% that feel lonely, or their mental health is not in a good space, anyone here would, I don't think any of us here would mind someone reaching out to us, would they? And saying,
and on that day, Greg,
so it's just really important that those people don't feel that this conversation is not about them.
No, certainly, and I think we're around inclusiveness of anybody, and I think if you're suffering with mental health or you have issues, come along. They're certainly there with somebody to talk to, and I think Gary mentioned outline, we've a number of men that actually came to us about their relationships, about mental health issues, about stuff that was happening, suicidal thoughts, all that things I've gone through in my life, supporting men, to one-to-one with the mental health services, all the issues that can be raised from a man's point of view. But I do think it's an inclusive place. There is a listening ear, but it's a listening ear for everybody.
Yeah, okay.
It's an inclusion piece, not more of an exclusion piece.
So the events, it's a health and well-being event for men. It's fun too. It's about getting meet new friends. Wednesday the 12th of June, that's this coming Wednesday, between 12 and 3 p.m. at the Letterkenny Community Centre. That's just across there, isn't it?
Yeah, Pierce Road.
Beside Solo.
That's exactly it.
Solo's more popular than the community centre, Greg. I don't know about
that. Well, someone calls it Solo. I don't know.
What's that?
All right, I don't know. Solo. Anyway, listen, they've got enough of a plug. It's been great having you in, Christopher. Christopher Brogan of the Donegal Men's Health Network.
Very much,
fair play to you and all you do. And Hugh Field, great to chat to you again, of course, of the Donegal Travellers Project. And Gary Glennon from the LYFS. All three, thanks very much. I hope there's a huge turnout because, there should be. There's a lot of organisation gone in there. There's a lot of love and a lot of care at this event as well. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
From Limerick to London, Newbridge to New York, or Stoneybatter to Sydney, wherever you are and whenever you're jetting off, get global travel money at your local post office. Make your money matter more with 0% commission on cash and card. Search Unpost Travel Money or visit your local post office today. T's and C's apply. Unpost Money currency card is issued by PPS EUSA pursuant to licence by MasterCard International. PPS EUSA is authorised by the National Bank of Belgium and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules. Unpost is authorised by the Minister for Finance to provide foreign currency cash.
It's time to visit Ireland's newest Lexus dealership, Lexus Letterkenny. With 50 years of experience, you can trust us in this new era of electrification. Experience our all-electrified range, including the stunning ES Hybrid Saloon and our award-winning range of plug-in hybrid SUVs. And view our finance offers, including the all-new LBX. Start your 2-for-1 journey with Lexus Letterkenny Port Road. Lexus. Experience amazing.
Don't even think about buying a bed until you've checked out Restex Beds. Famous for their quality, comfort and excellent service, a Restex bed will ensure a perfect sleep. Restex Beds, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Leave the rest to us.
Be a winner and view the trophy collection at Brian McCormick Sports. Full colour awards, glass and crystal, perpetual cups and shields, sports awards, metal cups and medals. Whatever the occasion, click bmcsports.ie. Budget medals for sports days with personalised inserts to promote your club and school. Full engraving service available at Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny.
Okie dokie, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. John Breslin's coming up around the northwest after the news at 12. We are staying here at the Orr Leisure Centre. We don't anticipate necessarily anything concrete to bring you, as there's a scrutiny process ongoing. There's no point staying on air for the sake of it. We're 2 or 3 o'clock, but we're working closely with staff here, and we'll get notification in advance and get here and get it out for you, so you won't miss a thing. The state of play at the moment is at the moment in Letterkenny, there's a recount ongoing. Kieran Brogan, Donald Coyle, Thomas Sean Devine, Jimmy Kavanagh and Michael McBride and Jerry McMonigal all looking to take seats. They're set to take seats. What this has come down to is a discrepancy, or not a discrepancy, a difference of 5 votes between Kevin Bradley and Mary T. Sweeney. That would determine the order in which they went out. If Mary T. Sweeney were eliminated first, then it's pretty much a lock-in that Donald Coyle would get that last seat. But if Kevin Bradley, who's 5 votes ahead, were to be eliminated first before Mary T. Sweeney, it's possible that Mary T might get a stronger lift from Kevin Bradley and pip Donald Coyle to that last seat. So that's just a synopsis of where we're at and what we're doing. Right, let me see. We can say good morning to our next guest now. Stephen Cousins, Head of Marketing and Donor Services with the Irish Blood Transfusion Service. Good morning to you. Thank you for your time, Stephen.
Good morning, Greg.
What's the? It's a constant situation, isn't it, Stephen? In those who regularly donate, to keep them regularly doing that, especially in holiday times and what have you. But also to encourage those that may not be blood donors to perhaps begin to become a blood donor, because we have a huge demand, always a huge demand for donated blood.
Yeah, it has. It's got more difficult, Greg, in the last year or two, mainly because the hospitals have gotten busier. It's a real challenge for us, particularly for specific blood groups. So often we can be fine for some of the main blood groups, like of O pos and A pos, which are generally 3/4 of the population, and be in real difficulty for the likes of O neg, which is the universal donor. So, for example, this morning we're at just over 3 days O neg on a Monday morning, going into a week post-bank holiday. That's going to be difficult. So it's really important that the clinics we have this week all throughout the country are successful. And there's no doubt things like bank holidays, they put more pressure on us than they would have done previously. People are traveling more, so they're not here, but also in a lot of cases when they come back, they're not able to give blood for a period of time as well. So there's a lot of things like that have really impacted us. And I do think there's still a knock-on effect from COVID, believe it or not, just in terms of new donors and maybe awareness of the whole idea of blood donation among young people. So I think before COVID, we were probably bringing in about 17,500 new donors a year. And last year that was 11,500. Year before that was 8,000. So this year we're hoping to kind of get closer to 15,000 and maybe catch up to where we were before. So there's a number of challenges there. That means it's always an ongoing challenge. And I think that's one of the things about blood donation is that we can have a number of fantastic weeks, as we've had. Like, the clinics have actually been very good, but because the demand is high, we live from week to week. So it's not something we can sit back and rest on our laurels, and we have to make sure the clinics are good every week, particularly if there is demand from the hospitals.
Yeah, indeed. This week is the 20th anniversary of World Blood Donor Day. Of course, that's about celebrating and thanking all blood donors. But I mean, it would be remiss of you and I not to use it as an opportunity, as we have been up until now, to publicise when clinics are on and to encourage people to become part of that donor family.
Yeah, it's like World Blood Donor Day. It's a worldwide day that's celebrated across the World Health Organization. And, you know, we're very fortunate in Ireland that we have the system we have, that donors, you know, volunteers come in and give blood and do so on such a regular basis, because that's not the case in lots of countries around the world. And they don't have volunteers, and they don't have a system that is able to bring those people in and collect blood for the hospitals. So they've got to come up with different ways that aren't always satisfactory. So we're very fortunate to have the donors we have, and World Blood Donor Day is a great way of celebrating that and thanking donors. And this week, as it happens with, so World Blood Donor Day is on this Friday, the 14th. So this week we're in Letterkenny for the 4 days, tonight and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So it's really important. The 4-day clinic in Letterkenny is always really important to making sure that we have enough blood for the next few weeks. It really sets us up well when we have good clinics there. So we're asking all donors, regular donors, to make an appointment and to come in and see us. They can do that online on the portal if they are registered there. And then people maybe haven't given blood before, we're asking them to consider us. Go to the website, giveblood.ie. Check your eligibility, because not everybody is able to give blood, unfortunately. So that's an important thing. But if you know, take the quick test, it's only about 2 or 3 minute quiz. And if it looks like you're still eligible at that point, to give us a call on 1-800-731-137 to make an appointment.
You know, and just lastly, we can talk about planning to become blood donors, but we can't necessarily plan when we're going to become recipients. And do you have the statistic off the top of your head about the likelihood of someone becoming a blood recipient over their life? I remember being surprised by this previously.
Yeah, it is amazing. 1 in 4 of us will require a blood transfusion at some point in our lives. So yeah, it is, you know, if it's not ourselves, it's a family member, it's an extended family member, it's certainly somebody, you know, people in our community. And it's not something that's maybe talked about. People don't realize that, you know, how often blood transfusions are required to give people a chance to fight the illness. So if somebody's suffering from cancer, you know, it's very much about fighting cancer, but they wouldn't be able to fight it without blood and platelets being available. So it's incredible what blood donors achieve through their altruism is really amazing, and it does help our health services and our communities continue to function. Quick
couple of questions. I'm Oneg. I used to donate but wasn't allowed then because I lived in Scotland. I'd love to start donating again. Is that possible? Could you ask your guest thanks?
The answer is yes. It's actually a big thing. So our eligibility criteria changes regularly. And in the last couple of years, for example, that donors right in that previously they would not have been able to give blood, but that UK ban was lifted a couple of years ago. Similarly, things like patients with hemochromatosis, which is something very much in the west coast of Ireland. A lot of people who are patients of hemochromatosis can now actually become donors. So their blood is used to help other patients. The likes of, for quite some time, you know, we would have had a risk assessment that would have meant a lot of gay men couldn't give blood. And we now have individual risk assessment for all donors. And that means an awful lot more people, including quite a number of gay men, would be eligible to give blood. So it's definitely something to check the website, the eligibility on the website, because it does change and people can be surprised. But in answer to that particular question, yes, that donor is probably able to give blood. Certainly they wouldn't be deferred because they lived in the UK.
Quick question about if you have tattoos.
Yep, 4 months is the deferral period from when you've received your tattoo, but you can give blood after that.
Okay, listen, thank you very much for your time. I greatly appreciate it. Just recap where these clinics are, because the whole point of the conversation is to encourage people to donate or to consider donating. The roadshow's in Letterkenny at the moment, or coming to Letterkenny.
Yep, so we're in the Radisson in Letterkenny tonight, Tuesday and Wednesday. Tonight from 6:30 to 9:40. And then Tuesday 2:30 to 5 and 7 to 9:40, and Thursday 12 to 2 and 4 to 7:40. All the details are on the website giveblood.ie. And we're also in Buncrana, Carndona at the week commencing 1st of July as well. So donors from there can make appointments as well.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. I greatly appreciate it. Take care of yourself. That's Stephen. That is Stephen Cousins there, back with an assessment of where we're at and where we're going here at the Oral Leisure Centre after these messages.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
At Opel, it pays to go electric. Quite literally, in fact. That's because our electric models now cost less than petrol or diesel. Order your new 242 Mokka Electric or Astra Electric and avail of our €5,000 Opel Eco Bonus, flexible payment options, plus 3 years free servicing. You'll be all powered up with lower road tax and lower running costs. Find out more about our 242 offers at Heron Auto Opel. See heronopel.ie for details.
It's time to transform your smile with the help of Blue Poppy Dental, Letterkenny and Donegal Town. Their expert team offer orthodontics, teeth whitening, implants and composite bonding all in-house. Start your journey by calling 074 97 40404 or easily book your appointment online at a time that suits you through their user-friendly patient portal at bluepoppydental.com. Blue Poppy Dental and Orthodontics, Letterkenny and Donegal Town. Proud supporter of the Donegal LGFA football camps.
Boost your brain function with Remind supplements this May. Visit Healthwise pharmacies for the innovative Life Meter test. In just 1 minute, measure your carotenoid levels from a simple fingertip scan. Understanding your diet can help you take charge of your brain health. Remind's blend of carotenoids and omega-3 fatty acids supports normal brain function. Make an appointment today at Ballyreen and Dunlow Healthwise pharmacies. Take the first step towards a healthier brain with Remind.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhinney's. Support a local Donegal business with McElhinney's. From fashion to home essentials, find everything you need for any occasion. Shop McElhinney's Ballybuffet for quality you can trust.
Okay, let's have... Oh, that's some hum. What's going on there? All right, that's fixed that. Weather forecast. I'll bring you the weather forecast in a moment. Okay, we are into the last 10 minutes of our coverage here from the Can Centre. Our online continuous coverage. We'll be logging off. John Bresson's coming on around the northwest. Trudy O'Donnell is with us. Doreen Sheridan Kennedy's also with us as well. I'll come to you first if that's okay. Ruby.
There we go. It was going to happen. That's what
Trudy.
happens. Greg's in a singing mood today. So.
Yeah, but I thought I'd come up with something new, and then every kid in the school's on it. The information we're getting is that this is an ongoing process. We're not going to hear anything concrete for the next couple of hours. That's the working theory.
That's very much the consensus here at the minute. They are going through everything very, very carefully, and again, no stone is going to be unturned here. There's a lot of staff working very hard, and one of the previous ballot papers that I did speak about in relation to one of the ones Mary T was looking at, I did speak to Mary T, and it was Kieran Brogan had a number 1, and then on that there was 2 number 2s on the paper. And on speaking to Mary T, her point was that should have been flagged and brought to the papers when they had that table of scrutinising table.
Does that invalidate that if it's clear what the person's first preference is?
No, it doesn't invalidate it, but it's just flagged so that whenever it does come then to the second preference votes, it then isn't transferable.
But if 2 X's invalidate a vote, is it because it's clear what the first preference is?
Two X's are... There is no clear preference there. It's 2 X's, whereas if there's 1 X, it's a clear preference.
So you can go X 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
No.
You can.
No.
Oh, you can. I did check this out.
Did we check
this
out?
Is there not just?
I think you can go X 2, 3, 4, 5.
You could do a 1 and then do an X. The X wouldn't count, but the 1 would count.
Trudy's going to be googling again now.
I
was almost sure you can go X 2, 3, 4. As long as it's cleared, as long as it's demonstrated what your first preference is.
But I suppose in relation even to that, if that was the case, that paper is going to be flagged and brought to the table to be scrutinised. And I think that was Mary's T's point there, that paper should have been flagged. It wasn't. I mean, it was very clear that there was a first preference. There were not 2 number 2s, but it hadn't come into play yet that actually was going to be transferred. So it didn't come into play. But her point was it should have been flagged and brought to the scrutinising table, which is a valid point.
Yeah. But is there a scenario where it ever comes into play?
If it comes into play, it's non-transferable then.
Okay.
I think she was just saying it should have been flagged.
Yeah,
it wasn't flagged.
Okay. So
it wasn't going to impact her in any way whatsoever. She actually had no number on that ballot paper at all.
She wasn't gaining from it.
But I think it was just that the worry, and again, that it's happening somewhere else.
If the system didn't pick this up, is it possible there's another 4 votes?
That's what it's about.
Absolutely.
Doreen? Yeah, I mean, it's important we'll go through this process. I think we've made that point a few times, just picking up from the theme from in the early hours of this morning. With just 5 in it, there's just 4 in it now, effectively. I think even just finding that one vote early on in the process has justified the process.
It does justify it anyway, because it's a democratic right of the candidate to ask for it, and I think that was a right decision last night to defer till today and to open it up again. But I'm not sure the impact it's going to have on the result at the end of the day, because I think the difference is too much, and I do still think that possibly Donal Coyle is the person that's going to come out of that.
What is the difference between Mary T and Donal Coyle? Sorry, off the top of my head, I can't remember now.
The difference between Mary T and Donal Coyle was 100 and, let me go back to the papers there, it was 106.
And Kevin Bradley...
110.
But Kevin Bradley's total vote that would come into play there for transfers if he were eliminated first?
So Kevin Bradley finished in 1,015 votes.
Okay.
Mary T finished on 1,010 votes.
Yeah.
So that will be whichever candidate is eliminated.
If say for instance the votes were found, Kevin Bradley were to be eliminated first.
Yeah.
I wonder what the ratio. Firstly, none of his votes might go to either Donal Coyle or Mary T. Swinney, but we don't know that, do we?
Well, no, I don't know if we've tallied.
There will, of course, some of them. Of course, some of them.
We'll put it this
some
way.
of them might, but we don't. It's still uncertain whether or not it would
So
fundamentally change the outcome.
Exactly. Mary T. first of all needs 106 to catch up with Donal. And then Donal Coyle is obviously going to gain as well from the distribution. So she's playing catch up with 106 to catch him, and then depending on what is distributed to Coyle then. So it's
Is it possible her team have any indications, having tallied at all Kevin Bradley's votes, or is it even possible, given we're so deep into the process?
I doubt if they would have that kind of information, and being a smaller party, they mightn't have the manpower or the woman power on that side of to be looking at that kind of detail, But now they've been very thorough here, so credit to the staff, and but they've moved on, and we'd all do it if it was us. So therefore, it's justified. And
any further word coming from the Johnny McGuinness camp, Doreen?
Well, no, I just was in touch with him this morning, messaging him, but it's very much the same question, I suppose he feels. But he didn't at the time, before the count was announced, make any, but I'm not sure, and it would be remiss of me to comment if there's a legal procedure being...
I wasn't even more or less whether it was still potentially being pursued, whatever avenues that might follow.
Yes, I would imagine so.
Okay.
Because it really ties into some of this today, and it's about procedure and about the procedure being used, the same procedure being used at that particular count should be used all the time. Absolutely. And that, maybe the difference between up there and down here is slightly different, but needs to be looked at and needs to be watched to protect the people that are in the lower end of the voting, so that they get the right to maybe move up with one person being eliminated rather than two.
Exactly, yeah.
Regardless of the difference of votes.
I did gain some further knowledge in the calculations and the mathematics.
Okay, lovely. Bring that to us.
Do we have time to do that?
Well, you planted the seed of curiosity, so you might as well water it.
Yeah, it's a learning curve now, talking to some of the experts out there on the floor now.
Yeah, we're all learning
and
today.
The County Council were very good to us.
There's still more to find out, so I will find more, but more to come later anyway. For now, the way that they do, it's supposed to distribute the surplus. So for those that are mathematically minded, we'll explain this as clear as possible. So there's a specific surplus. So if I use the example, let's say, from Donal Mandy's surplus yesterday as the first candidate that was elected, he was deemed elected. The quota yesterday was 1629. Donal Mandy, he actually was elected with 1,841, which meant that the surplus was 212. So there's 212 votes of a surplus to be distributed. Now, that surplus then goes over the transferable papers. So at that stage there will be a certain amount of transferable non-transferable papers. So his transferable papers then equated to 1,641. So what we do is we divide the surplus by the transferable papers. In that specific case, it just works out at 13%. So we're left with 13%. So then I'm going to just use our own case, where Jimmy Cavan at that point, he got 173 transfers from Donal Mandy. We then get the 13% of that. So the 173, The 13% of that worked out at 23 votes.
How are those 173 votes taken from the entirety of
votes that are there?
Donald Mandy Kelly's
The
votes?
number 2 preferences.
But in terms of, there's a massive pile there. Are they taken out randomly? Are they?
On the first count, it's different. Was that what was explained to us?
Yeah. So on the first count, they're all distributed.
Okay.
And that's where that.
And after that, the process is different.
After that, the process is slightly different. I was just getting that from some of the staff there,
Yeah.
but I'm just not confident yet to explain
I
it
have
on
to
air.
say,
but,
I
yeah.
haven't a clue what you've just said. But
that's okay.
That's okay. That's a me problem, not a you problem,
Yeah.
right? As soon as you started saying about maths,
Yeah.
I can talk.
But I suppose to just simplify it as much as possible.
No,
yeah.
but you don't have to, because
No.
I'll tell you. There's already people commenting, going,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So don't
Okay.
dumb it down
That's
any
not too
further
bad.
for me.
Not too bad.
It's fine. Great to see Mary T fighting hard for everyone that voted for her, says Christian. Yeah, actually, you know what? I never really thought about it in that context, because I was talking about teams and parties and individuals. There is a right actually to those that voted for you, isn't it?
That was our line last night,
sense,
wasn't
right?
it, Trudy? And the same this morning. You know, this is for my voters. This is for the people that I.
And
kinda
they were
got
the
vote
ones
from.
that they encouraged her to do that. So I mean, she's standing up for her own people and her own voters. So.
A caller says, the question is, how do they choose the surplus? Some may favour one candidate over another, so how do they choose? Do they get reshuffled? Does a counter choose, or just a lump picked up and counted? Thanks.
I was afraid these questions were going to be
I
asked.
know.
I was really afraid. But I was speaking to the council staff there. But as I say, the only thing at the minute that we can say is when you're over the quota in the first count, everything is distributed and it's taken from the top.
I have another great
down.
question for
Oh
you here.
God, I'm very afraid.
No, because you're not. No, we're here
Yeah.
discussing it. I'm really interested to know this. Can you clarify it for me? On a full recount, is a different cut of Donald Kelly's surplus distributed after he's deemed elected, or the same cut? Please, if this could be explained.
No,
I'd really
because on the
appreciate it.
first count,
They're all
distributed.
Okay, that's
after
fine.
the first count, it just changed.
See, it's not a partial. It's not a
No.
partial one. It's a
No.
total.
Yeah.
It's a total recount.
How do they decide what boxes the excess votes come from, though? Surely the location of these boxes makes a difference, these votes.
They're
Well,
not
you see,
boxes. It's piles.
there's no boxes anymore.
No.
Each
Okay.
of the
It's
candidates
piles.
have their pigeonholes basically filled
Yeah.
with their ballot papers, so they're all mixed. So
It's
there's no boxes.
fascinating.
Yeah,
But
all the
it's-
boxes are empty. That's it.
I mean, listen, it might not be a perfect system, but some people say it's the best
But
system.
this
It's
is all
like-
available on an app, but we
Yeah.
actually haven't downloaded. And you know, as Dr. McDade was explaining to us, the details are in there. You know, if you wish to look further tonight, Greg, you know that would be of great benefit to you.
And I think it's something as well that people don't really get into it as much until it's happening, and then it's happening, and suddenly you're like, how is this happening? How are they doing that? And then
Yeah.
the questions are being asked. Until the next time, they'll forget about it, probably after a few weeks.
Yeah, of course. Listen, thank you so much, Trudy. It's
you.
been lovely having you company. Only got a brief word with you, Doreen. You're around, are you? I
Yes,
don't know. Well,
I'm
if you are,
around,
we'll
yeah.
be speaking to you.
Oh, no,
so I'll
here
tell
to
you
stay.
what, good stuff. I'll tell you what we're going to do now. We are going to hand back to the regular programming because there's not much happening here at the moment that's reportable. And then what happens is we're going to get a notification of when there is something to bring to you. So you won't miss it. Just stay tuned to Highland Radio and stay on our socials through the course of the day. And I guarantee you will be the first to know because we'll bring that news to you. But for me, Greg Hughes, and the team here at the Aura, we'll chat to you really soon as we have something for you.
The 9